Hey there, storytellers and story lovers. This is Dark Harry. Prepare yourselves for today's incredible narrative. What if Harry called Grandmama Addams instead of Dumbledore when Voldemort returned? Dark humor. A quick reminder, your likes, comments, and subscriptions are the fuel that keeps this channel running. Thank you for being awesome. Let's begin this journey together. Chapter 1. When Harry met Wednesday, the graveyard stench wouldn't leave Harry's nostrils. He'd scrubbed his skin raw in the showers, changed clothes 3 times, and still caught whiffs of grave dirt and death every time he inhaled. 2 weeks since the Triwizard Tournament. 2 weeks since Cedric's body hit the ground. 2 weeks, and Dumbledore had told him precisely nothing. Breathe, Harry. Just breathe. He sat cross-legged on his bed at Privet Drive, surrounded by unopened letters from Ron and Hermione. Their concern felt distant, disconnected from the reality of what he'd witnessed. Cedric's blank eyes. Wormtail's knife-slicing flesh. Voldemort rising from that cauldron, pale and snake-like. Uncle Vernon pounded up the stairs. Boy! Keep that ruddy bird quiet or I'll wring its neck. Harry glanced at Hedwig, who wasn't making any noise at all. Just another excuse to yell. He flopped back on his mattress, staring at the ceiling. The Ministry denied everything. The Prophet called him attention-seeking. And Dumbledore's grand advice? Stay at Privet Drive. Be patient. Wait. Harry's hand drifted to his pocket, fingers brushing against something cold and metallic. The coin. He'd almost forgotten about it. His mind drifted back to that strange day, years before Hogwarts. Keep up, Potter. Mrs. Henderson barked, herding the school group through Central Park. 10-year-old Harry, skinny and swimming in Dudley's cast-offs, trailed behind his classmates on their New York field trip. The Dursleys had only allowed him to come because the alternative was leaving him with Mrs. Figg, who had broken her leg. Dudley waddled ahead with his gang, occasionally glancing back to snicker at Harry's isolation. Harry wandered off the path, drawn to a chess table where a pale girl in a black dress with tight braids sat alone. Her focus remained unbroken even as he approached. You're terrible at following your group, the girl said without looking up, moving a rook across the board with surgical precision. Checkmate. Harry blinked. She was playing against herself. I wasn't trying to follow them, he lied, adjusting his taped-up glasses. The girl finally looked up. Her eyes were bottomless dark pools. You're lying. How interesting. I'm Harry. Harry Potter. Wednesday Addams. She studied him with clinical detachment. You have death hanging around you. Someone's tried to kill you. Harry stepped back. That's not funny. I wasn't joking. I'm never funny. She tilted her head. You don't know, do you? About what you are. What I am. Wednesday reached into her pocket and pulled out a black coin with strange symbols. You'll understand eventually. When you do, when you need friends who understand darkness. She pressed it into his palm. Squeeze this and think of me. What does it do? It calls my family. Only use it in times of true darkness. Her lips twitched slightly. We don't appreciate being disturbed for trivial matters. Before Harry could respond, a tall, gaunt woman with floor-length black hair appeared. Wednesday, dear, your father's found the most delightful abandoned mausoleum. We're having lunch there. The woman noticed Harry and smiled eerily. A friend? No, Wednesday replied. Just someone with potential. Mrs. Henderson's voice cut through the park. Potter. Get back here now. Wednesday stood. Goodbye, Harry Potter. Remember, only in true darkness. He'd kept the coin as a curiosity, through his Hogwarts letter, through 6 years of wizard education. It had seemed like a strange dream until now. Back in his bedroom at Privet Drive, Harry pulled the coin out. The metal felt heavier than it should, warm against his skin. If there was ever a time of true darkness, this was it. Voldemort returned, Cedric dead, and the whole wizarding world determined to bury its head in the sand. "This is stupid," he muttered, but closed his fist around the coin anyway. He thought of Wednesday, of her pale face and emotionless eyes. "I need help. Real help." The coin grew hot, then ice-cold. Harry opened his palm to find the metal had turned blood-red. Nothing happened. Harry sighed and tossed the coin onto his nightstand. Just another disappointment. He dozed off and woke abruptly to tapping at his window. Not an owl, a bony hand with long black nails. Harry leapt up, wand drawn, as the window slid open of its own accord. A hunched figure climbed through with surprising agility. "Well, well," croaked an ancient woman wrapped in what looked like 30 layers of tattered shawls. Wild gray hair stood out in all directions, and her gnarled face split into a grin that revealed 3 blackened teeth. "You've grown up, haven't you? Got yourself into a proper mess too, by the feel of things." Harry backed against his bedroom door. "Who are you?" "Grandmama Addams, boy. You called, I came." She sniffed the air. "Oh my, that's interesting. You've got death magic all over you. Recent death, old death, and..." She leaned closer, sniffing again. "Death inside you too. Fascinating. You're Wednesday's grandmother. Among other things." She cackled, rifling through his school trunk without permission. "So you're one of those wand wavers, eh? Always so formal with their magic. No imagination." Harry kept his wand pointed at her. "How did you get here?" "That coin, blood magic, dear boy. Old magic. The kind your people probably called dark." She made air quotes with gnarled fingers. "Wednesday said you had potential. She's never wrong about these things. Is Wednesday here too? The whole family's waiting. That coin doesn't just call one Addams, it calls us all." Grandmama picked up one of Harry's textbooks, flipping through with a dismissive snort. "This is what they teach you. No wonder you're in trouble." "I didn't say I was in trouble." Grandmama fixed him with a look that seemed to pierce his soul. "The coin only works in true darkness, child. Now pack your things." "Pack? I can't leave, the noseless wizard who's trying to kill you, he won't wait for permission slips, will he?" She grinned again. "Oh yes, we know all about your Lord Moldywort." "Voldemort," Harry corrected automatically. "Whatever. Terribly uninspired name. If you're going to be a Dark Lord, at least be original." She waved dismissively. "Wednesday told us everything after you called. We have ways of knowing things." Harry hesitated. He thought of Dumbledore's instructions to stay put, of the Order members probably watching the house. Grandmama seemed to read his mind. "Those guards outside won't remember we were here. Now choose, boy. Stay here waiting for death, or come learn how to dance with it." 20 minutes later, Harry's trunk was packed. Hedwig's cage stood empty. He'd sent her to Ron with a hasty note saying he was safe but going somewhere for help. He had no idea if that was true, but anything seemed better than another day at Privet Drive. "How are we getting, wherever we're going?" Grandmama pulled a shrunken cauldron from her pocket, expanded it to full size, and placed it on the floor. "The hard way. More fun." She tossed in ingredients from various pouches, something that looked like fingernails, a liquid that smelled like rotting eggs, herbs Harry didn't recognize. The mixture turned thick and black, bubbling without heat. "Step in," she instructed. "Into the cauldron? Unless you prefer to swim across the Atlantic." She cackled at his expression. "It won't hurt. Much." Harry thought of Cedric. Of Voldemort. Of Dumbledore's silence. He stepped into the cauldron. The substance wasn't wet. It felt like dense fog, swirling around his ankles. Grandmama joined him, squeezing into the cauldron that somehow expanded to fit them both. She grabbed his wrist with surprising strength. "Hold your breath." The world compressed, stretched, and folded in on itself. Harry felt simultaneously crushed and pulled apart, his body turning to liquid, then gas, then something indefinable. When reality reassembled, he stumbled out of an identical cauldron into a room that smelled of herbs, bones, and something sweet yet rotten. "Welcome to the Addams family mansion," Grandmama announced, climbing out after him. "Try not to touch anything that looks like it wants to touch you back." The room was a witch's workshop cranked to 11. Shelves overflowed with jars containing things that still moved. Bundles of plants hung from the ceiling, some of them pulsing rhythmically. A three-legged raven watched from a perch made of what looked suspiciously like human finger bones. "You live here? This is just my workshop. Come, the family's waiting." Harry followed her through winding corridors decorated with weapons, stuffed beasts he'd never seen in care of magical creatures, and portraits whose eyes definitely followed their progress. They entered a vast living room dominated by mounted swords, exotic artifacts, and furniture that looked designed for torture rather than comfort. 6 people turned to stare at him. A tall man with slick-back hair and a pinstripe suit stood from a throne-like chair. "Harry Potter. Welcome to our humble abode." His voice was smooth and cultured. "Gomez Addams, at your service." He approached with hand extended, moving with theatrical grace. Harry shook his hand, surprised by the firm but not crushing grip. A willowy woman with floor-length black hair drifted forward. Harry recognized her from that day in Central Park. "Morticia Addams. We're simply delighted you've called upon us in your hour of need." Her voice was like velvet over steel. A mountain of a man who looked like Frankenstein's monster grunted from the corner. A bald man with bulging eyes and a light bulb in his mouth waved enthusiastically. Lurch and Uncle Fester, Gomez introduced them. "And this strapping young fellow is Pugsley." A chubby boy with a manic gleam in his eye bounded forward. "Want to see my new crossbow? It fires acid-tipped bolts." "Perhaps later, dear," Morticia interjected smoothly. Harry's eyes found the last figure. Wednesday Addams sat in a high-backed chair, still wearing black, her braids exactly as he remembered. She'd grown taller, but her expression remained coolly dispassionate. "Hello, Harry Potter," she said. "I see you finally found your darkness. You know about Voldemort?" Harry asked. "Of course," Wednesday replied. "A wizard afraid of death who splits his soul. How ordinary." "We've been watching your world for centuries," Morticia added. "Though we prefer to maintain our distance. Your ministry and ours have differences of opinion regarding appropriate magical practices." Harry's head spun. "Your ministry? You're not wizards." Gomez laughed heartily. "Wizards, witches, necromancers, death speakers, labels are so limiting. We're Addamses." "But you know about Voldemort? About what happened at the graveyard?" "We felt the resurrection ritual," Grandmama said. "Nasty, amateurish work. Effective, though. We monitor death magic," Wednesday explained. "It's a family hobby." Pugsley bounced on his toes. "Can we kill him for you? Please say yes." Harry took an instinctive step back. Morticia placed a calming hand on Pugsley's shoulder. "Manners, darling. We haven't even served refreshments yet." She turned to Harry. "You must be famished after your journey. Lurch will show you to your room, and we'll have dinner in an hour. We can discuss dismemberment after dessert." Lurch grunted and picked up Harry's trunk with one hand. Harry followed the butler up a grand staircase, trying to process the last hour of his life. The Addams family knew about magic. They knew about Voldemort. And they seemed completely unafraid. His room turned out to be surprisingly normal, if you ignored the fact that the canopy bed was shaped like a coffin and the wardrobe whispered when he walked past. Hedwig's empty cage went on a desk by a window that opened onto a view of an expansive, wildly overgrown garden where plants visibly moved without wind. Harry sat on the bed, half expecting it to try to eat him. It remained an ordinary, if creepy-looking, piece of furniture. What the bloody hell have I gotten myself into? Dinner with the Addamses proved enlightening, if unsettling. The food looked horrifying but tasted delicious. Harry tried not to think too hard about ingredients as Grandmama proudly described each dish. "So," Gomez said, slicing what Harry hoped was roast beef, "tell us about this Voldemort fellow. Started calling himself a lord, did he? How nouveau riche." Harry gave them a condensed version of his history with Voldemort, from his parents' murder to the graveyard resurrection. The family listened with expressions ranging from mild interest, Wednesday, to gleeful excitement, Pugsley. "He fears death," Morticia observed when Harry finished. "How peculiar. He's killing people." Harry protested. "Yes, but out of fear, not appreciation." She sipped her drink, which emitted green smoke. "Death should be embraced, celebrated. Not used as a tool of mere politics." "You're taking this rather well," Harry said. "Aren't you worried he might come after you for helping me?" The entire family burst into laughter. Even Wednesday's lips quirked upward. "Oh, my dear boy," Gomez wiped tears from his eyes, "we've been dealing with dark wizards, demon lords, and vengeful spirits for generations. It's family tradition." "Great-Aunt Lavinia used to date Gellert Grindelwald," Fester added, speaking for the first time. "She dumped him because he wasn't macabre enough." "His aesthetic was appalling," Morticia agreed. "All that talk of greater good when he should have focused on greater darkness." Harry tried to wrap his mind around these people. "So you're not afraid of Voldemort at all?" "Should we be?" Wednesday asked, raising an eyebrow. "He's the most powerful dark wizard in a century." "By whose standard?" she challenged. "Your limited wizarding community. He wouldn't last 10 minutes at our family reunions." "Wednesday," Morticia gently admonished, "don't diminish Harry's trauma. His fear is valid, even if unwarranted." "I'm not afraid," Harry said automatically. Wednesday's eyes locked with his. "Liar." Something about her directness bypassed Harry's defenses. "Fine. I'm terrified. He killed Cedric without a second thought. He tortured me for fun. And now he's back, and nobody believes me, and Dumbledore just left me at the Dursleys to rot." "Excellent." Grandmama cackled. "Acknowledging fear is the first step to wielding it." "We can help you, Harry Potter," Morticia said, "but our methods aren't what you've been taught at Hogwarts. We embrace what your kind calls dark magic." "I don't care about dark or light anymore," Harry said firmly. "I just want to stop him. I want justice for Cedric, for my parents." Gomez's eyes gleamed. "Revenge. Now you're speaking our language. What exactly do you want from us, Harry?" Wednesday asked. Harry met her gaze steadily. "Teach me how to fight him. How to end this. And if our methods shock you? If we ask you to cross lines your Dumbledore would forbid?" Harry thought of Cedric's lifeless eyes. "I'll cross them running." A smile spread across Wednesday's face, the first real one he'd seen. It was somehow more terrifying than her usual expression. "Then we begin tonight," she said. Wednesday led Harry to Grandmama's workshop after dinner. The old woman was already brewing something in a cauldron twice the size of the one they'd traveled in. "First lesson," Wednesday announced. "Forget everything you know about magic." "That's not very helpful," Harry said. "Your magic is constrained by artificial rules, by ministry guidelines, by what books tell you is possible." She picked up a knife with a curved blade. "Our magic comes from blood, from death, from the spaces between worlds." "You mean blood magic? That's dark arts." Labels, Grandmama snorted. Your ministry calls it dark because they can't control it. Blood magic, death magic, soul magic, they're neither good nor evil. They simply are. Voldemort uses blood magic, Harry argued. He took my blood for his resurrection. And did it work? Wednesday asked pointedly. Well, yes. Because blood has power. Your mother used blood magic to protect you, did she not? Harry stared at her. How do you know that? The protection still lingers on you. I can see it. She stepped closer, studying his scar. But there's something else too. Something parasitic. Grandmama shuffled over, peering at his forehead. Oh my, that's interesting. A soul fragment. Your Dark Lord left a piece of himself in you. Harry recoiled. What? No, that can't be right. I'm never wrong about souls, boy. She poked his scar with a bony finger. Harry felt a jolt of pain. That's why you have the connection, the dreams. You're carrying a piece of him. The room seemed to spin. Can you get it out? Of course, Grandmama said cheerfully. We'd have to kill you first, but only temporarily. Temporarily dead is still dead. Not necessarily, Wednesday said. Death is more of a continuum than a state. Harry backed up against a table. Let's table that discussion for now. What else can you teach me? Grandmama looked disappointed but nodded. Let's start with something simple. Wandless magic. That's advanced, not simple. Only because they've convinced you it is. Wednesday held out her hand. A small flame appeared, dancing on her palm. Magic doesn't need a conduit unless you believe it does. For the next 2 hours, they worked on wandless casting. Harry managed to produce a few sparks and levitate a feather about an inch before his head pounded with effort. You're still thinking like a wizard, Wednesday critiqued. Stop focusing on the how and focus on the intent. That makes no sense. It makes perfect sense, Grandmama countered, if you stop trying to make sense of it. By midnight, Harry was exhausted but had managed to consistently light a candle without his wand. Small progress, but more than he'd ever achieved in wandless magic before. Enough for tonight, Wednesday declared. Tomorrow we work on combat. Wait, Harry said as they prepared to leave the workshop. I need to know something. Why are you helping me? What do you get out of this? Wednesday considered him. Voldemort offends us. Offends you how? He uses death as a cudgel, not an art form. He fears it even as he deals it out. And her eyes narrowed. He harmed someone with potential. That's unforgivable. Harry wasn't sure if he should be flattered or concerned. The next morning, Harry woke to something skittering across his chest. He jumped up to find a disembodied hand scurrying off his bed and out the door. Thing. Gomez's voice called from the hallway. I told you not to wake our guest. Harry dressed quickly in jeans and a t-shirt, making his way downstairs. He found the family in what they called the conservatory, a greenhouse filled with plants that were definitely not found in any normal botanical collection. Most had teeth, thorns, or both. Pugsley was feeding raw meat to a Venus flytrap the size of a Saint Bernard. Good morning, Harry, Morticia greeted him. I trust you slept well. Wednesday mentioned you'll be starting combat training today. Yes, but I was wondering, what about the trace? Won't the ministry detect my magic? Gomez laughed heartily. My dear boy, do you think we'd survive if we let governments monitor our magic? This house exists in a fold between realities. No trace, no tracking, no unwanted eyes. After breakfast, Harry carefully avoided the writhing scrambled eggs. Wednesday led him to a massive ballroom that had been cleared of furniture. Physical combat first, she said, removing her outer dress to reveal black training clothes beneath. Your reflexes need work. How would you know my reffle? Harry barely ducked the knife that whizzed past his ear, embedding itself in the wall behind him. Reflexes need work, Wednesday repeated calmly, producing another knife from nowhere. For the next hour, she attacked relentlessly while instructing him on dodging, rolling, and basic counterattacks. Harry collected numerous small cuts and bruises, but by the end, he was avoiding about half her strikes. You learn quickly, she acknowledged. Now magic. This time they used wands, Harry's phoenix feather, and Wednesday's black wand of unknown composition. Her spellwork was unlike anything Harry had seen. She cast silently, her spells manifesting as shadows rather than colored light, and her movements were minimal and precise. Your style wastes energy, she observed after disarming him for the 5th time. Too much wand waving, too many spoken incantations. Magic responds to will, not words. By lunchtime, Harry had mastered silent casting of basic shield charms, something 6th years struggled with at Hogwarts. Fester joined them after lunch, bringing what he called explosive enrichment to the lesson. Harry learned more about combat applications for common spells in 3 hours than in 5 years at Hogwarts. Wingardium Leviosa isn't just for feathers, Fester demonstrated by levitating a chandelier and dropping it strategically. Anything becomes a weapon if you're creative. That evening, aching but exhilarated, Harry joined the family in the main living room. They were discussing strategy for dealing with Voldemort. The soul fragment in Harry complicates things, Grandmama was saying. We could extract it, but the process would be painful. There might be more fragments, Morticia suggested. His resurrection ritual required substantial soul damage. Horcruxes, Harry blurted out, remembering something from his 2nd year. Voldemort's diary was a Horcrux. It contained a piece of his soul. The Addamses exchanged glances. Multiple Horcruxes. Gomez whistled. Ambitious but sloppy. The soul becomes unstable after the 2nd split. You know about Horcruxes? Harry asked, surprised. Great-Uncle Forsyth collected them, Wednesday said. He kept them in the game room until Grandmama decided they were too noisy. So Voldemort could have made more than one. Almost certainly, Morticia confirmed. We should locate and destroy them before confronting him directly. How do we find them? Grandmama grinned, displaying her few remaining teeth. We use the one inside you as a compass. Before Harry could respond, the mansion's bell rang, a deep, ominous gong that echoed through the house. Visitors? Pugsley looked excited. Can I release the piranhas this time? Not yet, dear, Morticia rose gracefully. Let's see who it is first. Lurch shuffled to the front door, returning moments later with a slip of paper. He handed it to Gomez with a grunt. Ah, Gomez's expression darkened. Death Eaters. At least a dozen, surrounding the house. Harry jumped to his feet. They found me already. How thrilling. Morticia said. We haven't had proper house guests in ages. Should we invite them in for tea? Grandmama asked wickedly. I think not, Gomez replied. They've brought Dementors as well. Most rude. Harry's blood ran cold. Dementors? We need to, Wednesday, take Harry to the panic room, Morticia instructed. The rest of us will entertain our uninvited guests. I can fight, Harry protested. Not yet, Wednesday grabbed his arm. You need to see how we handle threats first. Consider it an educational experience. She pulled him toward a bookshelf that swung open to reveal a hidden passage. They descended a spiral staircase into a small room with stone walls covered in ancient symbols. One wall was transparent like glass, offering a view of the mansion's front grounds. One-way viewing portal, Wednesday explained. We can see out, they can't see in. Below, the Addams family strolled casually onto their front lawn. At least 15 Death Eaters in masks and robes stood with wands drawn. Behind them floated a dozen Dementors, their presence wilting plants as they passed. A Death Eater stepped forward, removing his mask to reveal Lucius Malfoy's pointed face. "We know you have Potter," his voice carried clearly. "Surrender him, and we'll make your deaths painless." Gomez straightened his tie. "My good man, threatening an Addams with death is like threatening a fish with water. It's our natural habitat." Malfoy's expression faltered slightly. "Hand over the boy, or face the consequences." Morticia sighed. "So unimaginative. Darling, shall we show them proper hospitality?" "With pleasure, cara mia." Gomez snapped his fingers. The ground beneath the Death Eater's feet suddenly writhed as previously invisible vines wrapped around their ankles. 3 were immediately dragged underground, their screams cut short. "Mother's prize man-eating begonias," Wednesday commented. "They've been hungry lately." The remaining Death Eaters began firing spells, but the Addamses moved with surprising speed and coordination. Gomez wielded what looked like a fencing saber, somehow deflecting spellfire back at the casters. Morticia barely moved, yet Death Eaters flying too close to her suddenly collapsed, clutching their throats and gasping. Grandmama threw handfuls of powder that exploded into multicolored clouds. Death Eaters caught in the mist began transforming. One grew extra limbs, another's head swelled to 3 times its normal size, a third turned inside out with a wet squelch. Pugsley, cackling manically, launched crossbow bolts that exploded on impact, creating 10-foot craters in the lawn. Uncle Fester had the most bizarre approach. He simply walked toward the Dementors with open arms. Such misunderstood creatures. "Come to Fester, my gloomy friends." To Harry's shock, the Dementors backed away. When Fester grabbed one, it emitted a high-pitched wail unlike anything Harry had heard. Instead of draining happiness from Fester, the Dementor itself seemed to shrivel. "Uncle Fester feeds on the same energies as Dementors," Wednesday explained. "But his appetite is greater." The battle, if it could be called that, lasted less than 5 minutes. Death Eaters who could still move were fleeing, disapparating in panic. 3 Dementors had been consumed by Fester, who patted his stomach contentedly. The others had fled. Lucius Malfoy was pinned to the ground by Lurch, whimpering as Morticia approached him. "Now then," her voice drifted up to the viewing room, "you're going to tell us exactly how you found us, and then you're going to deliver a message to your master." "Is she going to kill him?" Harry asked, both horrified and impressed by what he'd witnessed. "Death would be merciful," Wednesday replied. "Mother prefers to make examples." They watched as Morticia leaned down and whispered something to Malfoy. Whatever she said made all color drain from his already pale face. Lurch released him, and Malfoy scrambled away, disapparating with a crack. "What was the message?" Harry asked as they left the panic room. Wednesday's smile was cold. "That the next Death Eater to approach our home will be returning to Voldemort in separately wrapped packages. Gift wrapped." When they rejoined the family, everyone was calmly straightening their clothes and discussing the quality of the evening's excitement. "Rather disappointing," Gomez was saying. "I barely broke a sweat." "The Dementors were delicious, though," Fester burped, emitting a small black cloud. "Is everyone okay?" Harry asked, scanning them for injuries. "Of course, dear," Morticia assured him. "It takes much more than amateur dark wizards to harm an Addams." "But how did they find me so quickly?" Grandmama held up a small silver object. "Tracking charm on your trunk. Quite sophisticated. I left it active so they'd come to us rather than track you elsewhere. You used me as bait." Harry wasn't sure whether to be angry or impressed. "Think of it as a practical demonstration," Gomez clapped his shoulder. "Now you've seen firsthand what you're training for." "And how did you do all that?" "Some of that magic, family secrets," Wednesday cut him off. "Which you'll learn when you're ready." Harry looked at the casual way they had dismantled over a dozen Death Eaters and Dementors without breaking a sweat. These people, strange as they were, might be his best chance against Voldemort. "Teach me everything," he said firmly. Grandmama cackled. Careful what you wish for, boy. Some knowledge changes you forever. Wednesday's eyes met his. Are you sure you're ready for that? Harry thought of Cedric, of his parents, of all Voldemort had taken. Yes. Whatever it takes. Excellent. Gomez exclaimed. We'll start with the really fun stuff tomorrow. Pugsley, prepare the pain tolerance chamber. Pugsley ran off, giggling. Harry swallowed hard but didn't retract his request. Whatever the Addamses were about to put him through, it couldn't be worse than what waited if he failed to stop Voldemort. That night, as he lay in his coffin-shaped bed, Harry realized something strange. For the first time since the graveyard, he hadn't thought about the trauma for hours. The Addamses, for all their macabre interests, had given him something Dumbledore hadn't, a path forward, action instead of waiting. His scar hadn't hurt either, not once since he'd arrived. Whatever strange magic surrounded the Addams mansion seemed to block the connection to Voldemort. Maybe, just maybe, he'd made the right choice in calling them. In the hallway, the disembodied hand-called thing scurried past his door. From somewhere deep in the mansion came an unearthly howl, followed by Pugsley's delighted laughter. Harry pulled the covers higher and smiled grimly. Definitely not Hogwarts. Chapter 2, Blood, Toil, and Bubbling Cauldrons. Harry woke to screaming. Not his own, for once. The blood-curdling wail echoed through the mansion, followed by maniacal laughter. Harry grabbed his wand and rushed to the door, only to find Wednesday leaning against the wall opposite his room, arms crossed. Good morning, she said, as though the screams weren't continuing. Sleep well? What's happening? Who's screaming? Pugsley. Uncle Fester's testing a new electric chair design. She checked a pocket watch. He's lasted 30 seconds longer than yesterday. Impressive. Harry stared at her. And that's normal? For Pugsley? Yes. He's building tolerance. She straightened up. Breakfast in 10 minutes, then we begin your real training. The screaming stopped, replaced by disappointed groans and Pugsley's voice, again. Turn it higher. Wednesday's lips twitched slightly. Family tradition. We learn to embrace pain early. At breakfast, Pugsley's hair stood on end, his face blackened with soot, but he happily devoured a stack of what looked like green pancakes. Harry picked at his own breakfast, still adjusting to Addams' cuisine. Today's schedule, Gomez announced, consulting an ancient-looking scroll. Harry begins elemental manipulation with me at 9, dark artifacts with Grandmama at 11, potions after lunch, and combat with Wednesday until dinner. I've scheduled the exsanguination for tomorrow, Morticia added casually. We'll need fresh blood for the protection rituals. Harry choked on his orange juice. Exsanguination? Just a pint or two, dear, she clarified. Nothing fatal. Usually. I could just donate blood normally, where's the ceremony in that? Gomez looked offended. An Addams bloodletting is an event. We'll invite the cousins. Harry decided not to argue. Over the past week, he'd learned that the Addamses had their own way of doing everything, and it usually worked better than expected, even if it looked terrifying at first glance. After breakfast, Gomez led Harry to the mansion's ballroom. Elemental magic, Gomez began, rolling up his sleeves, is about connecting to the primal forces. Your wizards use specific spells for specific elements. We simply call, and the elements answer. He snapped his fingers, and flames danced across his palm. Now you feel the heat in your blood, the fire of life, and bring it forth. Harry tried for 30 minutes with minimal results, a few sparks, nothing more. Gomez circled him, adjusting his stance. You're thinking like a wizard again. Stop trying to force magic through your wand. Magic is already in you, around you. Direct it, don't channel it. By the end of the session, Harry could produce a small but steady flame in his cupped hands. The sensation was entirely different from wand magic, rawer, more intimate, like the difference between using a faucet and swimming in a river. Grandmama's lesson on dark artifacts proved equally challenging. Her workshop had been rearranged to display dozens of sinister-looking objects. This, she held up what looked like a dried human heart, is a heart-seeker. Point it at someone, squeeze, and it finds what they truly desire, by stopping their heart momentarily. She cackled at Harry's expression. Oh, they start again. Usually. She moved on to the next item. Resurrection stone, no, not that one, this is older. Ancient Egyptian. Brings back the dead, but each use costs you a year of life. Do these things follow wizard law? Harry asked, examining a dagger that seemed to absorb light. Law. Grandmama snorted. Magic existed before governments decided to regulate it. These artifacts operate on natural principles, give and take, balance, sacrifice. Like blood magic. Exactly. Your Voldemort understands the principles but misapplies them. He takes but never gives, that creates imbalance. Is that why his resurrection ritual was flawed? Clever boy. She pinched his cheek painfully. Yes. He took your blood without consent, forced life from death. Such magic works, but it's unstable. Like building a house on quicksand. Harry considered this. So what would a balanced resurrection look like? Equal exchange. The dead return only when something of equal value passes beyond. Your mother understood this instinctively, her life for yours. The concept clicked in Harry's mind. So Voldemort's magic works, but it's fundamentally flawed because it ignores balance. Now you're thinking like an Addams. She handed him a tarnished silver mirror. Practice with this. Soul mirror, shows reflections of other soul fragments connected to the viewer. Harry hesitantly looked into the mirror. His reflection appeared normal at first, then rippled. Suddenly, he saw a flash of a familiar room, a drawing room with a large fireplace and ornate furniture. Malfoy Manor, he whispered. Grandmama peered over his shoulder. Interesting. One of the Horcruxes is there. You're certain? The mirror doesn't lie. Horcruxes share a connection, they can sense each other. The fragment in your scar is responding to its sibling. Harry set down the mirror, disturbed. We need to destroy them all. Indeed. But first, lunch. I'm making boiled toad surprise. After a lunch that Harry mostly pushed around his plate, the surprise in the toad surprise turned out to be that the toads were still moving. Wednesday took over his training in the overgrown gardens behind the mansion. Defensive magic today, she announced, drawing her black wand. Your shields are inadequate. Without warning, she fired a spell that looked like liquid shadow. Harry's hastily cast Protego shattered instantly, the force knocking him backward. Inadequate, she repeated as he scrambled up. Again. For the next hour, Wednesday subjected him to increasingly powerful attacks. By the end, Harry could maintain a shield against her standard spells, though her shadow magic still broke through. Your problem, she said as they took a water break, is that you're defending against the spell, not the intent. What's the difference? Intent carries the magic. Spells just give it shape. She demonstrated by casting a lumos that manifested as a black flame instead of light. Same incantation, different intent. So I should be defending against what you want to do, not the specific spell. Precisely. She looked almost impressed. Perhaps you're not entirely hopeless. Coming from Wednesday, this was high praise. Why are you helping me? Harry asked suddenly. Your whole family. You barely know me. Wednesday considered him. We help our own. I'm not an Addams. You could be. She stepped closer, studying his face. You have darkness in you, Harry Potter. Not evil, darkness. There's a difference. The wizarding world wants you to be their perfect golden hero, but that's never been who you are. Harry wanted to argue but found he couldn't. The Sorting Hat had wanted to put him in Slytherin. He could speak Parseltongue. He'd felt anger and hate that sometimes scared him with its intensity. What if I don't want the darkness? Then you'll lose. Wednesday's bluntness was refreshing after years of Dumbledore's cryptic guidance. Voldemort thrives in darkness. To defeat him, you must master your own. She raised her wand again. Now, let's continue. By dinner, Harry had mastered a new shield charm, one that absorbed hostile magic rather than deflecting it. The sensation was strange, like drawing venom from a wound, but effective. The family gathered in the dining room, where Lurch served what appeared to be an entire roasted animal of indeterminate species. Progress report. Gomez declared cheerfully. How's our young apprentice doing? Elemental affinity for fire, Grandmama said. Expected, given his phoenix wand. Adaptive learning curve, Wednesday added. Absorbs technique quickly once he abandons conventional thinking. An excellent pain tolerance. Pugsley contributed. He barely flinched when Thing dropped that battle axe near his foot. Harry wasn't sure if that had been an accident or a test. With the Addamses, it was often both. Splendid. Gomez carved what might have been a leg from the roast. I'd say he's ready for field experience. Harry perked up. You mean going after a Horcrux? The one at Malfoy Manor, Morticia confirmed. Wednesday and Grandmama will accompany you. A small team attracts less attention. We leave tomorrow night, Wednesday said. After your bloodletting ceremony. About that, Harry began. Non-negotiable, Gomez interrupted. The blood protection will shield you from detection. Essential for the mission. Harry sighed. Fine. But no cousins. Just immediate family, Morticia agreed. And Thing, of course. As if summoned, the disembodied hand scurried across the table, giving Harry a thumbs up before grabbing a dinner roll. The bloodletting ceremony took place in the mansion's central courtyard the following evening. The family gathered in a circle around an ornate silver bowl positioned atop a stone altar. Harry wore ceremonial robes that Wednesday had provided, black with silver embroidery that moved subtly, like slithering snakes. Traditionally, this is performed on Addams' children when they come of age, Morticia explained. The family blood mingles with theirs, creating bonds of protection and kinship. You want to mix your blood with mine? Harry asked, alarmed. Just a drop from each of us, Grandmama assured him. Enough for the magic, not enough to turn you strange. She paused. Well, stranger. Gomez stepped forward with an ornate silver dagger. I, Gomez Addams, recognize Harry Potter as a friend of the family, entitled to our protection and bound by our code. He pricked his finger, letting a single drop fall into the bowl. The blood sizzled on contact. One by one, each family member repeated the ritual, Morticia, Wednesday, Pugsley, Uncle Fester, Lurch, even Thing somehow produced a drop of blood. Grandmama went last, adding various powders and liquids to the mixture until it glowed with an unearthly blue light. Your turn, boy, she handed Harry the dagger. Harry steeled himself and cut his palm, allowing several drops to fall into the bowl. The mixture flared bright crimson, then settled into a deep purple. Drink, Grandmama instructed, offering him the bowl. All of it? Just a sip. Unless you want to grow an extra limb. Harry couldn't tell if she was joking. He took a cautious sip. The liquid burned going down, spreading heat throughout his body. His scar prickled uncomfortably, then went curiously numb. The ritual is complete, Morticia announced. Harry Potter is now under the protection of the Addams family. No location spell may find him, no hostile intent may track him. And as an added bonus, Gomez added cheerfully, you're now immune to most common poisons. Most? Harry asked weakly. The fatal ones, certainly, Morticia assured him. The paralyzing ones still work, but that can be fun under the right circumstances. Harry decided not to ask for clarification. After the ceremony, Grandmama took Harry aside. The blood ritual had another effect. It's temporarily dampened the soul fragment in your scar. Dampened how? Created a barrier between it and you. The connection to Voldemort should be muted for a few weeks. Relief washed over Harry. No more visions. No guarantees, but it should help. She patted his cheek. Now get ready for tonight's mission. At midnight, Harry met Wednesday and Grandmama in the front hall. Both women wore black, but instead of robes, they had opted for practical clothing that allowed freedom of movement. Harry wore similar attire, with dragonhide gloves that Gomez had insisted were essential for Horcrux hunting. Our intelligence suggests Lucius Malfoy keeps his most valuable dark artifacts in a hidden chamber beneath the drawing room, Wednesday explained, unrolling a parchment that showed detailed plans of Malfoy Manor. How did you get these? Harry asked, impressed. We have connections in architectural circles, Grandmama said vaguely. The manor was built by Corvus Malfoy in 1667. The original blueprints included several secret rooms not in the official plans. How are we getting there? Floo would be tracked, apparition leaves magical signatures. Wednesday produced a small black box. We're using this. The box contained what looked like fine black sand. Shadow-walking powder, Grandmama explained. Allows us to travel through the shadow realm. Undetectable by conventional magic. Is it safe? Define safe, Wednesday deadpanned. Grandmama cackled. Keep moving, don't touch the whispers, and you'll be fine. The whispers? You'll see. Wednesday sprinkled the powder in a circle around them. Hold hands. Don't let go, no matter what you hear or see. Harry took their hands, Grandmama's dry and bony, Wednesday's surprisingly warm. Umbra via Malfoy, Wednesday intoned. The powder ignited, black flames racing around the circle. The floor beneath them dissolved, and they fell into absolute darkness. Harry felt like he was moving through cold molasses. Shapes flitted past, shadows deeper than the darkness surrounding them. Voices whispered from all directions, some pleading, others threatening. Harry Potter, join us, stay here, we can show you power. Ignore them, Wednesday's voice came from beside him, though he could no longer see her. They're just hungry. Hungry for what? Harry didn't really want to know. Essence. Soul. The usual. After what felt like hours but was probably only minutes, they emerged in a dimly lit room. Expensive furniture, gleaming hardwood floors, and a large fireplace confirmed they were in Malfoy Manor's drawing room. We have approximately 20 minutes before the house wards detect foreign magic, Wednesday whispered. The hidden chamber should be beneath the fireplace. Grandmama approached the ornate mantelpiece, running gnarled fingers along the carvings. Blood lock. Typical pureblood security. She produced a vial from her pocket and splashed the contents on the stonework. The liquid, which Harry decided not to identify, sizzled and sank into the stone. The entire fireplace slid silently backward, revealing a narrow staircase. Stay behind me, Wednesday ordered, drawing her wand. Malfoys are fond of curses. They descended into a small chamber lined with glass cases containing various dark artifacts. In the center stood a pedestal with a single object, a small black book. That's not it, Harry said immediately. Tom Riddle's diary was destroyed in my second year. This is different, Grandmama approached carefully. Older magic. I can feel the soul fragment. Wednesday cast several detection spells. Multiple curses. Touch it, and your blood boils. Try to move it, and your bones shatter. Standard protections, Grandmama dismissed. Easily countered if you know how. She removed a small cloth bag from her pocket and sprinkled white powder in a circle around the pedestal. Family recipe. Disrupts curse connections without triggering them. The air around the book shimmered as the powder settled. Now, Harry, Wednesday instructed. Use the dagger from the ceremony. It's attuned to your blood now. Harry removed the silver dagger from his robes. Just stab it. Intent matters, Grandmama reminded him. Focus on destroying the soul piece, not the book itself. Harry concentrated, thinking of Cedric, his parents, all the pain Voldemort had caused. He brought the dagger down hard. The moment the blade touched the book, an unholy scream filled the chamber. Black ichor erupted from the pages, splashing Harry's arms. The book thrashed like a wounded animal, the cover distorting into a face, Voldemort's face, before dissolving into ash. Well done, Wednesday said calmly, as though they hadn't just destroyed a piece of the darkest wizard's soul. One down. How many more? Harry asked, wiping the ichor from his arms. At least 4, by my estimation, Grandmama replied. The diary you destroyed, this book, the one in your scar, and likely others. We should. Harry froze as footsteps sounded above them. Someone's coming. Wednesday extinguished her wand light. Back up the stairs. Quickly. They had barely reached the drawing room when the door opened. Narcissa Malfoy entered, wearing a dressing gown, her wand lit. She froze at the sight of them. Potter, she hissed, raising her wand. How dare you? Wednesday moved faster than Harry had ever seen, her own wand flicking in a complex pattern. Shadows wrapped around Narcissa, silencing her mid-sentence and binding her in place. Mrs. Malfoy, Grandmama greeted pleasantly, as though they were guests rather than intruders. How lovely to see you again. Narcissa's eyes widened in recognition, then fear. You know each other? Harry asked, surprised. The Black family and the Addamses have history, Grandmama explained. Her great-aunt Cassiopeia was quite close with my cousin Ophelia. Until that unfortunate incident with the Chimera. Wednesday kept her wand trained on Narcissa. What shall we do with her? We can't just leave her, Harry said. Of course not, Grandmama agreed. She'd alert the household. Memory modification seems appropriate. She approached Narcissa, who struggled against her shadowy bonds. Now, dear, this won't hurt. Much. She placed a hand on Narcissa's forehead and murmured words in a language Harry didn't recognize. Narcissa's eyes rolled back, her body going limp. She'll wake in an hour, believing she came down for a glass of water and fell asleep in a chair, Grandmama explained, guiding the unconscious woman to a nearby sofa. No memory of us. Time to go, Wednesday said, producing more shadow powder. The wards will reset soon. They repeated the shadow walking process, emerging back in the Addams mansion's front hall. Harry immediately collapsed into a chair, the adrenaline wearing off. We destroyed a Horcrux, he said, the reality sinking in. That's one less anchor keeping Voldemort here. And we know what to look for now, Wednesday added. The book had a distinctive magical signature. We can track the others. But first, rest, Grandmama insisted. Horcrux destruction drains magical energy. You'll need to recover. The next morning, Harry's triumph was dampened by the arrival of a ministry owl bearing an official letter. Magical detection in a Muggle area, Harry read aloud at breakfast. Unauthorized use of dark artifacts. Court hearing scheduled for, they're trying to expel me from Hogwarts. Fascinating, Morticia commented. They detected the Horcrux destruction but attributed it to you. The blood protection should have prevented that, Grandmama frowned. Unless they were already watching Malfoy Manor, Wednesday finished. Ministry surveillance. But why would they? Politics, dear boy. Gomez slapped the table enthusiastically. Fudge and Malfoy are allies. The ministry's been monitoring the manor since Lucius returned limping from our little skirmish. So now I have to attend a hearing. We'll handle it, Morticia assured him. The Addams family has certain influences in governmental circles. You mean in America, right? This is British magical law. Gomez laughed. Magic knows no borders, my boy. And neither do our connections. 2 days later, Harry found himself entering the Ministry of Magic through the visitor's entrance, accompanied by Gomez and Morticia. They had insisted on representing him, despite his concerns about their unconventional appearance drawing attention. He needn't have worried. Gomez wore an impeccable pinstriped suit that somehow made him look like both a distinguished lawyer and a dangerous mobster. Morticia's black dress was elegant and subdued, though still distinctly Gothic. Together, they projected such confidence that ministry workers instinctively moved aside as they passed. The hearing had been moved to courtroom 10, a fact they discovered only upon arrival at the originally scheduled location. Classic intimidation tactic, Gomez noted cheerfully. Attempting to make us late. How delightfully underhanded. They reached the courtroom with minutes to spare. Inside, the full Wisengamot sat in tiered seats, with Cornelius Fudge presiding and Dolores Umbridge at his side. Harry recognized Percy Weasley taking notes nearby. Disciplinary hearing of Harry James Potter, Fudge began pompously. The charges, point of order, Gomez interrupted, stepping forward. Before we proceed, I must note several procedural irregularities. Fudge blinked, clearly thrown off. Who exactly are you? Gomez Addams, legal representative for Mr. Potter. This is my associate, Morticia Addams. He bowed flamboyantly. Now, regarding these irregularities, first, changing the time and location of a juvenile hearing without proper notification constitutes a violation of Wisengamot Charter of Rights, Section 12, Paragraph 3. Murmurs spread through the assembled wizards. Second, Morticia continued smoothly, convening a full Wisengamot for a simple case of underage magic suggests political motivation rather than judicial propriety. Third, Gomez added, the use of unverified magical detection in a location already under ministry surveillance raises serious questions about evidence contamination. Fudge sputtered. Now see here, furthermore, Morticia produced a thick scroll, we have documentation proving Mr. Potter was not in the location where the magic was detected, making these charges not merely inappropriate but potentially malicious. I don't recognize your authority to practice wizarding law, Umbridge interjected in her sickly sweet voice. International Confederation of Wizards, Provision 792, Gomez countered immediately. Any witch or wizard may represent another before any magical court when cultural or familial ties exist. As Mr. Potter is under the protection of the Addams family, our standing is quite clear. Harry watched in amazement as Gomez and Morticia systematically dismantled the ministry's case. They presented documentation, which Harry suspected was creatively generated, cited obscure legal precedents, and generally ran circles around Fudge and Umbridge. Amelia Bones, looking increasingly impressed, finally intervened. I believe we've heard enough. Those in favor of clearing the accused of all charges. The majority of hands rose. Cleared of all charges, Fudge muttered, looking furious. Outside the courtroom, Harry could barely contain his grin. That was brilliant. Where did you learn wizard law? Great-grandfather Addams wrote half those statutes, Gomez winked. Under a pseudonym, of course. The ministry never realized they were adopting Addams' legal theories. Though I must say, Morticia added, your minister Fudge is remarkably resistant to reason. Most unpleasant. He's in Voldemort's pocket, Harry said quietly. Or at least, in Malfoy's. Speaking of pockets, Gomez produced a small leather pouch. We took the liberty of examining certain ministry records while we were here. Most illuminating. Back at the mansion, Gomez spread documents across the living room table. The family gathered around as he explained. The ministry has been monitoring 7 locations with suspected Voldemort connections. 3 of them show magical signatures similar to the Horcrux we destroyed. Where? Harry asked eagerly. Gringotts Bank, the Lestrange Vault specifically. A structure called the Gaunt Shack near Little Hangleton. And he paused dramatically, Hogwarts School. Harry's heart sank. There's a Horcrux at Hogwarts. It appears so, Morticia confirmed. The Ministry's detection spells can't pinpoint its exact location, but the signature is unmistakable. Then I need to go back to school, Harry said firmly. Term starts in 2 weeks. Wednesday, who had been silently examining the documents, looked up sharply. You want to return? I have to. If there's a Horcrux there, I need to find it. It's dangerous, she argued. Dumbledore allowed this situation to develop. He can't be trusted. I don't trust Dumbledore anymore, Harry assured her. But Hogwarts is still the best place to continue our hunt. Plus, I can keep an eye on what the Order of the Phoenix is doing. Gomez stroked his mustache thoughtfully. The boy has a point. Strategic positioning. Then I'm going too, Wednesday announced. Everyone turned to stare at her. As a student, she clarified. Transfer paperwork can be arranged. Wednesday at Hogwarts. Pugsley looked envious. No fair. I want to go set fire to a magic castle too. It's not about the fires, Pugsley, Wednesday said patiently. It's about protecting our investment. Harry wasn't sure how to feel about being called an investment, but the idea of having Wednesday at Hogwarts was oddly comforting. He'd grown to appreciate her directness and combat skills. Can you actually transfer to Hogwarts? He asked. Don't you attend Ilvermorny? Private tutoring, Morticia corrected. The American Magical Academy found our family's educational approach unsettling. Something about Wednesday's extracurricular experiments, Gomez added proudly. That exploding potions incident was completely misunderstood. 3 students hospitalized, Wednesday reminisced, almost smiling. Their eyebrows grew back. Eventually. Arrangements were made with remarkable speed. Harry suspected considerable bribery and perhaps magical coercion were involved, but within days, Wednesday had been officially accepted as a 5th-year transfer student at Hogwarts. I've contacted the Weasleys, Morticia informed Harry. They've agreed to meet you in Diagon Alley the day before term begins. They believe you've been in protective custody with distant relatives. Which isn't entirely untrue, Gomez noted. The Addamses are distant relatives of practically everyone with interesting family histories. What about my school supplies? My trunk is still at the Dursleys. Already retrieved, Grandmama said. Along with a few surprises I added to your cousin's bedroom. He should enjoy the midnight visitors. Harry decided not to ask for details. The remaining days at the Addams mansion flew by. Harry's training intensified, with each family member contributing specialized knowledge. Uncle Fester taught him explosive spells, always useful to know how to make things go boom. Pugsley demonstrated traps and ambush techniques. The key is to make them think they're winning right before the poison darts hit. Gomez focused on dueling, footwork, my boy. Dance with death, don't stumble into it. Grandmama deepened his understanding of dark artifacts. This one turns your enemies inside out. This one just turns them into sloths. Use according to how annoying they are. Even Thing contributed, teaching Harry to pick locks and move silently. Skills that required no magic but proved invaluable. Wednesday's lessons were the most demanding. She pushed Harry beyond conventional magic into realms that Hogwarts never touched, shadow binding, blood wards, and death echoes. Some techniques felt uncomfortably close to dark arts, but as Wednesday repeatedly pointed out, intent determines darkness, not the spell itself. On his final evening before departing for Diagon Alley, Harry found Wednesday in the mansion's library. She sat cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by ancient tomes. Researching Hogwarts, he asked, joining her. Researching you, actually. She held up a book titled, Prophecies and Predestinations, When Fate Chooses Children. Find anything interesting? Several possibilities. She closed the book. The connection between you and Voldemort isn't just the Horcrux. There's something deeper. Something that made him target you specifically as an infant. Harry hesitated, then decided to trust her. There was a prophecy. Dumbledore showed me after the Ministry incident. It says neither can live while the other survives. Wednesday didn't seem surprised. Predictable. Self-fulfilling prophecies are the laziest form of destiny. You don't believe in prophecies? I believe they're traps for the simple-minded. She fixed him with her intense gaze. Voldemort believed, so he acted, which made the prophecy relevant. If he'd ignored it, you'd be an ordinary wizard with living parents. The thought stung, but Harry recognized the logic. So what do we do about it? We destroy him completely. Not because some prophecy demands it, but because it's the sensible thing to do. She handed him a small black box. For you. A parting gift. Harry opened it to find a silver ring with an unusual stone, black with flecks of red that seemed to move within it. Blood obsidian, Wednesday explained. It absorbs hostile magic directed at the wearer. Limited capacity, but useful in emergencies. It's brilliant. Harry slipped it on his right hand, feeling a slight warmth as it adjusted to his finger. Thank you. Don't die at Hogwarts, she said matter-of-factly. It would be inconvenient after all the work we've put into training you. Coming from Wednesday, this was practically a declaration of deep friendship. The morning of their departure, the entire Addams family gathered to see them off. Lurch had packed their trunks, Wednesday's was suspiciously heavy, and things scurried around delivering last-minute items. Remember, Gomez instructed, maintain regular communication through the enchanted journals. If Voldemort makes any significant moves, we'll mobilize the extended family. The European Addamses have been notified, Morticia added. Cousin Ed is particularly excited about the possibility of combat. Grandmama pressed a heavy pouch into Harry's hands. Potions. Emergency use only. Labels are mostly accurate. Mostly? Harry asked. The blue one might be poison instead of healing draft. Or vice versa. You'll find out. Pugsley gave Harry what looked like ordinary dung bombs. Improve them a bit. The smell attracts flesh-eating bacteria. Uncle Fester handed Wednesday a small case. My special batteries. Good for powering curses or causing blackouts. Your choice. Final goodbyes exchanged, Harry and Wednesday stepped into the fireplace. Gomez threw in special flu powder that bypassed Ministry detection. Leaky cauldron. Harry called clearly. Green flames engulfed them, whisking them away from the mansion that had, improbably, become a second home to Harry. As they spun through the Fleur network, he glanced at Wednesday beside him. Her expression remained impassive, but he caught a gleam of anticipation in her eyes. Hogwarts wouldn't know what hit it. They emerged in the leaky cauldron's main fireplace. The pub fell silent as patrons recognized Harry Potter, and stared at his Gothic companion. Harry. Mrs. Weasley rushed forward, enveloping him in a crushing hug. We've been so worried. Dumbledore said you were safe, but with no letters, no contact. I'm fine, Mrs. Weasley, Harry assured her, extracting himself. I've been training. This is Wednesday Addams. She's transferring to Hogwarts this year. Mrs. Weasley's smile faltered slightly as she took in Wednesday's appearance, the severe black dress, the braids, the unflinching stare. How lovely to meet you, dear. Wednesday didn't smile. Charmed. Ron, Hermione, and Ginny pushed forward, bombarding Harry with questions. Where have you been? Why didn't you answer our letters? Who is she? What happened with the hearing? I'll explain everything, Harry promised, but not here. They secured rooms for the night and gathered in Harry's to talk privately. Harry provided a heavily edited version of his summer, enough truth to satisfy his friends without revealing the more unusual aspects of Adam's magic. "So you've been staying with distant relatives," Hermione summarized, looking skeptical. "American relatives with specialized knowledge about fighting dark wizards." "Exactly," Harry confirmed. "The Addamses have been incredibly helpful. Wednesday's family has been teaching me things Hogwarts never covered." Ron eyed Wednesday warily. "What house do you think you'll be in?" Wednesday considered this. "Whichever appreciates creative approaches to mortality." "That's not really how the sorting works," Hermione said cautiously. "We'll see." Wednesday's tone suggested the Sorting Hat might not have the final say in the matter. The conversation grew increasingly awkward as Harry's friends tried to reconcile the Harry they knew with this new version, more confident, somewhat darker, and apparently close to the intimidating American girl who rarely blinked. "So, are you two?" Ron made a vague gesture between Harry and Wednesday. "Training partners," Wednesday answered before Harry could respond. "We share an interest in unconventional solutions to pest problems." "Pest problems?" Ginny repeated. "Dark wizards who refuse to stay dead," Wednesday clarified. "Among other annoyances." Hermione's eyes narrowed. "Harry, what exactly have you been learning this summer?" "Combat magic mostly," he replied carefully. "Shield charms, counter curses, some wandless techniques." "Wandless magic? That's Newt level at minimum. The Addamses have different teaching methods." "I'll bet they do," Ron muttered, eyeing Wednesday's black nail polish and the strange symbols embroidered on her sleeves. Later, when the others had gone to their own rooms, Hermione lingered. "Harry, I'm worried," she admitted. "You seem different." "I am different," Harry acknowledged. "Watching Cedric die, seeing Voldemort return, it changed me. And then learning all these new magical approaches. I can't go back to being who I was." "These new approaches, they're not dark magic, are they?" Harry chose his words carefully. "They're magic the Ministry doesn't understand or approve of." "That doesn't make them dark." "That sounds exactly like something Malfoy would say to justify, don't." Harry's voice hardened. "Don't compare what I'm learning to Death Eater magic. The Addamses fight against wizards like Voldemort. They just do it differently than Dumbledore." Hermione looked hurt by his tone. "I'm only concerned because I care about you." "I know. But I need you to trust that I know what I'm doing." After she left, Wednesday emerged from the shadows of the adjoining bathroom where she'd apparently been listening. "Your friends are predictable," she observed. "They're just worried. The girl is intelligent but constrained by artificial boundaries. The boy is loyal but intellectually limited." She sat on the edge of his bed. "They'll either adapt to the new you or become liabilities." "They're not liabilities," Harry said firmly. "They've stood by me through everything. Everything until now." Wednesday's dark eyes seemed to see right through him. "The path we're on will test those bonds. Be prepared for that." Harry wanted to argue, but deep down, he feared she might be right. Ron and Hermione had always supported him, but they'd also always followed Dumbledore's lead. Now that Harry was charting a different course, would they still stand with him? The journey to Hogwarts proved tense. In their compartment on the Hogwarts Express, Harry sat with Ron, Hermione, Ginny, Neville, and Luna. Wednesday had claimed the corner seat by the window, silently observing the interactions with clinical detachment. When Malfoy made his customary appearance to taunt them, he faltered mid-insult as his eyes fell on Wednesday. "Who's the freak?" he sneered, though Harry detected uncertainty in his voice. Wednesday didn't blink. "Draco Malfoy. Your father still has nightmares about my family. Ask him about the shadow people sometime." The color drained from Malfoy's face. He backed out of the compartment without another word, his cronies following in confusion. "How did you do that?" Ron asked, impressed. "Family reputation," Wednesday replied simply. Hermione looked troubled. What exactly did your family do to Lucius Malfoy? Nothing permanent, Wednesday said. Physically, at least. The rest of the journey passed in uncomfortable silence, broken only by Luna's occasional observations about imaginary creatures. Wednesday seemed to find these comments the only worthwhile conversation, engaging Luna in a serious discussion about the hunting habits of Crumplehorn Snorkax. At Hogsmeade Station, Hagrid called for first-years and transfer students. Wednesday gave Harry a nod before joining the boats, looking distinctly out of place among the excited 11-year-olds. "She's intense," Ron commented as they climbed into a thestral-drawn carriage. "You can see them now, can't you?" Luna asked Harry, noticing his gaze fixed on the skeletal horses. "Yes," he admitted. "Since the graveyard." "I still don't see anything," Hermione said, frustration evident in her voice. "The carriages pull themselves, like always." "They're pulled by thestrals," Harry explained. "You can only see them if you've witnessed death." The uncomfortable silence returned, lasting until they reached the castle. In the Great Hall, Harry felt Dumbledore's eyes on him immediately. The headmaster's expression was unreadable, but Harry sensed concern beneath the surface. He deliberately avoided eye contact, remembering Wednesday's warnings about legilimency. The sorting ceremony began as usual. When Addams, Wednesday, was called, the hall fell quiet. Wednesday approached the stool with measured steps, her posture perfect, expression unchanged as the hat was placed on her head. The silence stretched. 1 minute. 2. 5 minutes passed, a rare hat stall. Students began to whisper. Finally, the hat seemed to shudder before announcing, "Slytherin." A collective gasp rose from the students. Harry felt his stomach drop. Slytherin. He'd assumed she'd be in Ravenclaw, or possibly Gryffindor due to her courage. But Slytherin would separate them, put her among Malfoy and his cronies. Wednesday removed the hat, handed it to McGonagall, and walked calmly to the Slytherin table. The students there made space, looking equal parts intrigued and wary. She sat apart from the main groups, isolated but seemingly content with the arrangement. "Blimey," Ron whispered. "Your friend's a Slytherin." Didn't see that coming. But Harry had. Now that he thought about it, Wednesday embodied many Slytherin traits: ambition, cunning, resourcefulness, and a certain disregard for rules that didn't suit her purposes. Dumbledore's welcome speech included the usual warnings, plus an introduction of Dolores Umbridge as the new defense against the dark arts professor. Harry's heart sank when Umbridge interrupted Dumbledore with her own sickeningly sweet address about progress for progress's sake being discouraged. "The Ministry's interfering at Hogwarts," Hermione whispered. "She was at my hearing," Harry confirmed. "Fudge's lackey." He glanced at the Slytherin table. Wednesday was watching Umbridge with the same expression she'd worn when examining particularly pathetic specimens in Grandmama's workshop, clinical disdain mixed with the barest hint of anticipated amusement. Later, in the Gryffindor common room, Harry opened the enchanted journal the Addamses had given him. Words were already forming on the first page. "Slytherin proves optimal for our purposes. The Horcrux signature is strongest near the 7th floor. We'll investigate tomorrow. Umbridge requires careful handling, ministry puppet with sadistic tendencies. Sleep well." Harry smiled despite himself. Trust Wednesday to view her sorting as a tactical advantage rather than a setback. He wrote back, "Be careful in the dungeons. Malfoy holds influence there. We'll meet tomorrow to plan." The response came immediately, "Malfoy remembers the Manor incident. He'll keep his distance. Grandmama sends regards. Your cousin has apparently developed an interesting phobia of shadows." Harry closed the journal, feeling a strange mix of anticipation and dread. Tomorrow would begin a new phase in their hunt, with Voldemort's forces gathering, Umbridge watching, and Dumbledore's inevitable questions. But for the first time since the graveyard, he felt prepared. The Addamses had given him more than training, they'd given him confidence, a new perspective, and most importantly, allies who embraced the darkness rather than fearing it. That might make all the difference in the war to come. Chapter 3, The Thing with Two Heads. Harry's first day back at Hogwarts confirmed what he already suspected: everything had changed, especially him. He noticed it during breakfast when a group of Hufflepuffs whispered and pointed. Before his summer with the Addamses, their distrust would have stung. Now, he found himself channeling Wednesday's indifference. "You're staring again," Hermione whispered. Harry realized he'd been watching the Slytherin table, where Wednesday sat alone, methodically dissecting her breakfast sausage with surgical precision. The space around her remained conspicuously empty, Slytherin students giving her a wide berth. "Just making sure she's okay," Harry muttered. "She seems perfectly capable of handling herself," Hermione said with a hint of disapproval. "Honestly, I'm more worried about her housemates." Harry smirked. "Fair point." Professor McGonagall distributed schedules, pausing at Harry. "Potter, the headmaster requests a meeting after your morning classes. The password is Sugar Quill." Harry nodded, unsurprised. Dumbledore had been watching him since the welcome feast, no doubt curious about his summer disappearance. "What do you reckon he wants?" Ron asked through a mouthful of toast. "To find out where I've been, who I've been with, what I've learned." Harry shrugged. "The usual. You're not going to tell him about?" Ron glanced around and lowered his voice. "You know, the Addamses and all that. I'm going to be selective with the truth." Hermione frowned. "Harry, this is Dumbledore. He's only trying to protect you." "Is he?" Harry's voice cooled. "He left me at the Dursleys after Cedric died. After Voldemort returned. No explanations, no support, nothing. I'm sure he had reasons, I'm sure he did too." "His reasons?" Harry grabbed his bag. "We should get to class." Their first lesson was Charms, where Professor Flitwick emphasized the importance of OWLs with barely contained hysteria. Next came Double Potions, where Snape was his usual charming self. "Potter," Snape drawled as Harry set up his cauldron. "I see your celebrity status has extended to international exchanges. Miss Addams is an interesting acquaintance for someone of your limited capabilities." Harry met Snape's gaze directly, employing the occlumency techniques Grandmama had taught him. "Family connections, Professor. You know how it is." Something flickered in Snape's eyes, surprise, perhaps, at being unable to penetrate Harry's thoughts. "Indeed," the professor said coldly. 5 points from Gryffindor for impertinence. As Harry prepared his draft of peace, he noticed the subtle changes in his approach to potion-making. Grandmama's lessons had given him an intuitive understanding that textbooks never provided. Instead of following steps mechanically, he worked with the ingredients, feeling their interactions. "Harry," Hermione whispered, alarmed, "that's double the moonstone the recipe calls for." "Trust me," he murmured, continuing to stir counterclockwise. When Snape made his rounds, he paused at Harry's cauldron, clearly anticipating disaster. Instead, he found a perfect silver vapor rising from a potion even more effective than the standard recipe. "Interesting modifications, Potter," Snape said, his lip curling. "Perhaps you could explain your reasoning to the class." Harry kept his expression neutral. Increased moonstone creates a stronger binding effect when balanced with an extra anti-clockwise stir every 7th rotation. The technique is mentioned in Parkinson's Adaptive Potion Craft, though not for this specific recipe. The classroom fell silent. Hermione stared at him, mouth agape. Snape's eyes narrowed dangerously. 2 points to Gryffindor, he said, as if the words physically pained him. For unexpected competence. After class, Ron grabbed Harry's arm. "What the hell was that? Snape gave you points." "I think he's in shock," Harry grinned. "Probably checking himself into the hospital wing right now." "But where did you learn that potion stuff?" Hermione pressed. It wasn't in any of our assigned reading. Grandmama Addams is creative with potions. Grandmama? Ron snorted. You're calling her Grandmama now? Harry hadn't realized he'd adopted the family's terminology. That's what everyone calls her. Hermione studied him with growing concern. Harry, how close did you get to this family? Before he could answer, a familiar voice cut in. Close enough. Wednesday had appeared beside them, seemingly from nowhere. Harry, we need to discuss our project. Hermione bristled. What project? Extra credit, Wednesday said flatly. For those with aptitude. I don't recall any professors assigning independent study, Harry interrupted. I'll catch up with you guys later. He followed Wednesday down a less traveled corridor. Dumbledore wants to meet with me, he told her once they were alone. Expected. His office contains interesting magical signatures. She pulled out a small silver device that resembled a snuff box. This will help you detect them. What is it? Soul Sniffer. Grandmama's design. Wednesday demonstrated how to activate it. It vibrates when near a soul fragment. Intensity indicates proximity. Harry pocketed it. Anything from your end? Slytherin House is disappointingly conventional in their villainy. A hint of disdain colored her voice. Privileged children playing at darkness. Nothing like home. Missing the mansion already? Something like amusement flickered across Wednesday's face. The dungeons lack ambience. No proper torture devices. No screams echoing through the corridors. Give it time. Terms just started. A rare, slight smile touched her lips. Perhaps I can make improvements. Harry should have felt disturbed by her casual reference to torture. Instead, he found himself smiling back. The Addams influence ran deeper than he realized. Dumbledore's office appeared unchanged, silver instruments whirring, Fawkes preening on his perch, portraits pretending not to eavesdrop. The headmaster himself sat behind his desk, fingers steepled, blue eyes twinkling over half-moon spectacles. Harry, my boy. Please, sit down. His tone was warm, grandfatherly. Sherbet lemon? No, thank you, sir. Harry took a seat, feeling the weight of the soul sniffer in his pocket. I hope you've settled back in after your adventurous summer. Harry maintained eye contact without allowing mental access. It was educational. Yes, I imagine so. Dumbledore leaned forward slightly. The Addams family has quite a reputation in certain circles. So he knew. Harry wasn't surprised. They helped me when I needed it. I don't doubt their intentions, Harry. However, their methods are often unconventional. Like leaving me with abusive relatives for 14 years. The words escaped before Harry could filter them. Dumbledore's smile faded. There were protections at your aunt's home, blood protections. I know. Harry kept his voice even. The Addamses explained them better than you ever did. Did they? Dumbledore's eyebrows rose. Blood magic is traditionally considered dark, by the ministry, Harry interrupted. The same ministry that spent the summer calling me a liar and tried to expel me. The same ministry that's planted Umbridge here to spy on you. I see your time away has made you more direct. It made me more informed. The Addamses didn't hide things from me. The soul sniffer in Harry's pocket began to vibrate faintly. He resisted the urge to reach for it. Harry, Dumbledore sighed, there are reasons I've kept certain information from you. Your protection has been your priority. I know. Harry softened his tone slightly. I appreciate that, sir. But I'm not a child anymore. Voldemort has returned. He's killed Cedric. He'll keep coming for me. I need to be prepared, not protected. And you believe the Addamses have prepared you? They've started the process. The vibration in Harry's pocket intensified as he shifted in his chair. Something in this office contained a soul fragment. Dumbledore studied him for a long moment. Miss Addams's presence at Hogwarts, was that your idea? A mutual decision. She's here to learn, same as any transfer student. Somehow I doubt her curriculum interests align with our standard offerings. Dumbledore's tone remained mild, but Harry detected concern beneath. The Sorting Hat placed her in Slytherin. Interesting choice. She's ambitious and resourceful. Makes sense to me. Indeed. Dumbledore steepled his fingers again. Harry, while I cannot dictate your associations, I must caution you about certain magical practices. The Addams family operates outside conventional magical law for a reason. Because they understand magic the Ministry fears. Because some magic exacts terrible costs. Dumbledore's eyes lost their twinkle. Costs you may not fully comprehend. The soul sniffer vibrated more intensely. Whatever Horcrux was hidden here, Harry was getting closer to it. Sir, with respect, Harry said carefully, I've already paid terrible costs. My parents. Cedric. My childhood. If unconventional magic helps me defeat Voldemort, I'll use it. Dumbledore looked suddenly tired. I see. Well, I cannot force you to abandon your new path. I can only ask that you be careful, and remember that my door remains open should you need guidance. Thank you, sir. Harry stood, feeling the sniffer pulse rhythmically. Was there anything else? Just one thing. Professor Umbridge will likely take special interest in you this year. The Ministry remains concerned about your claims regarding Voldemort's return. Let her try, Harry said with newfound confidence. I've faced worse than Ministry bureaucrats. As Harry turned to leave, he scanned the office discreetly. The soul sniffer's vibration peaked as he passed a cabinet containing a shallow stone basin, Dumbledore's pensieve, and beside it, displayed on a small stand, a ring with a cracked black stone. A Horcrux, sitting in plain sight in Dumbledore's office. The headmaster either didn't know what it was, or worse, knew and was keeping it for some purpose of his own. Either way, Harry had found his next target. You're certain? Wednesday asked later that evening. They'd met in the room of requirement, which had transformed itself into a perfect replica of Grandmama's workshop. The soul sniffer nearly jumped out of my pocket, Harry confirmed, pacing between shelves of bubbling concoctions. It's definitely a Horcrux. And Dumbledore keeps it next to his pensieve. Wednesday made notes in the enchanted journal, which would transmit the information to the Addams mansion. Either incredibly naive or suspiciously deliberate. He's not naive, Harry said firmly. He must know what it is. Which raises the question of why he hasn't destroyed it. She closed the journal. The ring has significance beyond being a Horcrux. How do we get it? The headmaster's office is one of the most secure locations in the castle. Wednesday's expression became calculating. We create a diversion. Something sufficiently catastrophic to require Dumbledore's extended absence. Define catastrophic, Harry said cautiously. Nothing fatal, she assured him. Mother would disapprove of unnecessary casualties. A series of concentrated incidents throughout the castle should suffice. We could use Fred and George, Harry suggested. Their pranks can be pretty catastrophic when they want. Acceptable. Additional chaos would provide cover for our other objective as well. Other objective? The second Horcrux, Wednesday clarified. I've been tracking the magical signature on the 7th floor. It's elusive, appearing and disappearing from my detection spells. The room of requirement itself? Harry glanced around. Possibly. Or something the room becomes when properly asked. She approached a bubbling cauldron. In the meantime, we should prepare for Umbridge. Grandmama sent supplies. The supplies turned out to be an assortment of potions and powders that made Harry distinctly nervous. When Wednesday explained their effects, from temporary paralysis to hallucinations that manifested one's deepest fears, his concern only deepened. "We can't use these on a professor," he protested. "Even Umbridge." "They're defensive measures," Wednesday corrected. "For when she inevitably attempts to assert control through persecution. If you poison a High Inquisitor, they'll shut down the school." Wednesday raised an eyebrow. "Who said anything about poison? These are educationally valuable learning experiences, carefully calibrated to teach important life lessons. Such as, don't antagonize an Addams." Her deadpan delivery almost made Harry laugh. Their defense against the dark arts class the next morning proved Wednesday right about Umbridge's intentions. Her simpering introduction, insistence on theory rather than practical magic, and dismissal of Voldemort's return set the tone for a year of ministry interference. When Harry challenged her, citing his encounter in the graveyard, Umbridge's girlish demeanor hardened. "Detention, Mr. Potter. My office, 5 o'clock. As they left class, Hermione fumed. "She's not going to let us use magic at all. How are we supposed to pass our OWLs?" "We'll have to teach ourselves," Harry said, already forming a plan. "Like a study group?" Ron asked skeptically. "Like an army," Wednesday corrected, falling into step beside them. The corridor emptied quickly as students gave her a wide berth. "Potter has combat experience. I have specialized knowledge. Combined, we could prepare students for what's coming." Hermione looked startled. "You want to help?" "I want competent allies when the inevitable conflict erupts." Wednesday's pragmatism was refreshing compared to Dumbledore's veiled half-truths. Self-interest aligns with group benefit in this scenario. "That's actually quite sensible," Hermione admitted reluctantly. "Don't sound so surprised," Harry said. "Wednesday's brilliant at defense." "And offense," Wednesday added. "Primarily offense." Ron choked back a laugh. "Blimey, I can see why the hat put you in Slytherin." Umbridge's detention proved to be the perfect opportunity to implement Wednesday's educational experience. The blood quill, which carved words into the back of Harry's hand as he wrote lines, was exactly the kind of sadism Wednesday had predicted. "I must not tell lies," Harry read from the parchment, feeling the quill slice into his skin. "That's right, Mr. Potter," Umbridge smiled sweetly. "The message must sink in." Harry wrote several lines, allowing his blood to flow onto the parchment. Then, casually scratching his nose, he deployed the powder Wednesday had provided, a fine, invisible dust that transferred from his fingertips to the teacup Umbridge raised to her lips moments later. The effects weren't immediate. He completed his detention, hand throbbing, and left without incident. But the next morning, Umbridge was noticeably absent from the staff table. "Food poisoning," Fred Weasley reported gleefully at breakfast. Filch said she was in the hospital wing all night, convinced she was being eaten alive by her own cats. "Hallucinations," George added. "Apparently she kept trying to hex her own skin, claiming it was crawling with toadcats." Harry caught Wednesday's eye across the Great Hall. She gave an almost imperceptible nod of acknowledgement. The incident bought them a 3-day reprieve from Umbridge's presence, time they used to advance multiple fronts. Harry met with interested students in the Hog's Head pub, forming what would become Dumbledore's army. Meanwhile, Wednesday explored the 7th floor extensively, narrowing down the Horcrux's location. When Umbridge returned, pale and twitchy, she immediately instituted Educational Decree No. 24, banning all student organizations. Her suspicious gaze fixed on Harry during meals, but she seemed reluctant to issue another detention. "She's afraid," Wednesday observed as they prepared the room of requirement for the DA's first meeting. "Fear is useful. It makes people careless." 28 students arrived for the inaugural session. The room had configured itself into the perfect training space, cushioned floors, practice dummies, and bookshelves filled with defensive texts. Harry felt a surge of confidence as he addressed the group. "Voldemort's back. The Ministry's denying it. We need to be prepared. He demonstrated basic defensive spells, disarming, stunning, shield charms. The students paired off to practice, their initial awkwardness giving way to determined focus as Harry moved among them, correcting stances and wand work. Wednesday supervised the more advanced students, her teaching style distinctly more aggressive than Harry's. Under her guidance, Neville Longbottom produced his first successful stunning spell, the force of it slamming Dean Thomas into a wall of cushions. "Good," Wednesday said, her version of effusive praise. "Again, but aim for vital points." Aren't all stunning spells the same?" Neville asked nervously. "Intent shapes outcome," she explained. "Visualize incapacitation, not merely knocking someone back." By the end of the session, the improvement was remarkable. Even Ron admitted Wednesday's methods, while intimidating, produced results. "She's bloody terrifying," he told Harry as they left, "but did you see how she got Seamus to finally cast a proper shield? Threatening to hex his eyebrows off worked a treat." Hermione remained skeptical. "Her teaching methods are questionable at best. And I'm not convinced about this intent shapes magic approach. It contradicts fundamental magical theory." "Theory isn't helping us against Voldemort," Harry pointed out. "Wednesday's methods work." "That doesn't mean they're right," Hermione argued. "Harry, I'm worried about her influence on you. Some of the magic she's teaching, it borders on dark arts." "It's just magic, Hermione. Light, dark, those are ministry labels. They're labels for a reason." "Dark magic corrupts, power corrupts," Harry corrected. "Intent determines whether magic helps or harms. The Addamses understand that better than anyone." The argument ended in stalemate, but Harry noticed Hermione watching him more closely in subsequent days, her expression increasingly troubled. October brought intensified Horcrux hunting alongside their other responsibilities. While maintaining appearances in classes, Harry and Wednesday systematically explored Hogwarts' hidden corners. The Horcrux in the Room of Requirement proved elusive. The space transformed based on need, making consistent tracking impossible. Wednesday theorized it appeared only when the room took a specific form, perhaps a hiding place. "We need to ask the room correctly," she explained, pacing the 7th floor corridor. "Not for a place to train, but a place to conceal something." When they finally accessed the correct configuration, both gasped. The room had become a cathedral-sized space filled with hidden objects, towers of furniture, forbidden items, lost treasures, and forgotten contraband stretching in every direction. "This could take months," Harry groaned. Wednesday removed the soul sniffer from her pocket. It vibrated steadily. "We follow the signal." They spent hours navigating the labyrinth, the sniffer growing warmer as they approached a towering stack of desks. Atop it sat a tarnished tiara. Ravenclaw's lost diadem, Wednesday identified it immediately. Clever hiding place for a Horcrux. Few would recognize its significance beyond its founder connection. "How do we get it down?" "Carefully." She drew her wand. Horcruxes defend themselves when threatened. Harry remembered the diary's attempt to drown him in the Chamber of Secrets. Right. No direct contact. Using controlled levitation, they maneuvered the diadem into a specially prepared box lined with protective runes. Even without touching it, Harry felt malevolence radiating from the object, a cold, insidious presence that whispered dark promises. "We'll need the dagger to destroy it," Wednesday said, securing the box. "And privacy. The destruction tends to be dramatic." They chose the Chamber of Secrets for the ritual, its isolated location perfect for containing any magical backlash. Wednesday seemed almost gleeful exploring the chamber, examining the basilisk skeletal remains with particular interest. "Magnificent specimen," she murmured, collecting several fangs. "These will be useful." Harry placed the contained diadem on the chamber's damp floor. "Should we wait for nightfall?" "Unnecessary. The chamber's magic will mask ours." Wednesday removed the ceremonial silver dagger from her robes, the same one Harry had used during the bloodletting ritual. Your blood activated it. You must deliver the killing blow. Harry took the dagger, its weight familiar in his palm. Like before. Focus on destruction. Intent shapes outcome. He concentrated, recalling all Voldemort had taken from him, all the harm caused by the Dark Wizard's fractured soul. With a decisive thrust, he plunged the dagger through the box into the diadem. An unearthly scream erupted as black ichor sprayed from the puncture. The diadem thrashed within its container, the box's protective runes glowing white-hot as they contained the violent death throes of the soul fragment. A spectral face formed briefly in the escaping darkness, Voldemort's snake-like visage contorted in agony, before dissolving into nothing. The diadem cracked down the middle, its magic extinguished. 3 down, Harry said, breathing heavily. The diary, the book from Malfoy Manor, and now this. 4 remaining, Wednesday counted. The ring in Dumbledore's office, something in Gringotts, the gaunt shack, and the one in me. Harry touched his scar, which had burned during the diadem's destruction. We still don't know how to remove it without killing me. Grandmama is researching alternatives. Wednesday collected the destroyed diadem, examining it with academic interest. The conventional wisdom that the container must be destroyed beyond repair is simplistic. Meaning? Soul magic operates on principles of attachment and anchoring. In theory, the anchor could be relocated. Harry felt a chill. You want to move Voldemort's soul piece somewhere else? Precisely. Extract without destroying the original container. She met his gaze directly. You. Is that even possible? Unknown. But the Addamses specialize in the supposedly impossible. She pocketed the broken diadem. We should return before our absence is noted. Their success destroying the diadem was offset by complications elsewhere. Umbridge, recovered from her illness, implemented increasingly restrictive educational decrees. The Inquisitorial Squad, led by Draco Malfoy, patrolled corridors, looking for rule-breakers. Surprisingly, they gave Wednesday a wide berth. Rumors spread that she'd cornered Crabbe and Goyle in the Slytherin common room, demonstrating some unnamed curse that left them unable to sleep for 3 days, plagued by waking nightmares. Did you really curse them? Harry asked during a private moment. I educated them, she replied simply. They required perspective adjustment. The DA flourished despite increased surveillance. Students mastered defensive spells at an impressive rate, particularly once Wednesday introduced more aggressive counter-techniques. Even Hermione, initially resistant to Wednesday's methods, couldn't argue with the results. Your reductor curse has improved dramatically, Wednesday told Ginny Weasley after she obliterated a practice dummy. Aim for joint destruction in actual combat. More efficient than center mass. Ginny grinned. I like how you think. The group's dynamic shifted as students overcame their initial wariness of Wednesday. Her blunt assessments and effective techniques earned reluctant respect, especially from those who recognized the seriousness of their situation. November brought their first opportunity to target the Horcrux in Dumbledore's office. The headmaster left for an extended International Confederation of Wizards conference, leaving McGonagall in charge. Now's our chance, Harry told Wednesday during their planning session in the Room of Requirement. We need that diversion. Wednesday had already enlisted Fred and George, who were delighted to create maximum chaos, without knowing the true purpose. Their portable swamp, deployed in the East Wing, combined with strategically placed wildfire whiz-bangs, created exactly the prolonged disturbance they needed. As teachers scrambled to contain magical fireworks that multiplied when stunned and a swamp that swallowed anyone attempting to vanish it, Harry and Wednesday slipped beneath his invisibility cloak to Dumbledore's office. Sugar Quill, Harry whispered to the gargoyle, which leapt aside. The office appeared empty, though several portraits watched drowsily. Fawkes trilled softly from his perch, eyeing the apparently empty air with curious intelligence. Fawkes knows we're here, Harry murmured. But I don't think he'll interfere. They moved carefully to the cabinet containing the pensieve. Beside it, the ring sat undisturbed, its cracked black stone gleaming dully. The soul sniffer vibrated frantically in Harry's pocket. Definitely a Horcrux. Careful, Wednesday warned as Harry reached for it. Detection spells first. Her wand moved in intricate patterns, revealing layers of curses surrounding the ring. Fascinating. A withering curse tied to a compulsion charm. Touch it, and your hand would blacken and die while your mind compelled you to put it on. Can you disarm it? Not completely, not here. She produced a containment box similar to the one they'd used for the diadem. We isolate it for now. Grandmama will neutralize the curses properly. Using specialized tongs, Wednesday carefully transferred the ring to the box without touching it. The containment runes glowed briefly as they enclosed the Horcrux. "For down," Harry whispered. 3 to go, Wednesday confirmed, securing the box. "We should," she froze as footsteps sounded on the spiral staircase. They barely had time to slip back under the invisibility cloak before Snape entered, his black robes billowing. The potions master paused, dark eyes scanning the seemingly empty office. "Curious," he murmured. "Phoenix song without cause." Fawkes trilled again, watching the corner where Harry and Wednesday stood motionless. Snape approached the cabinet, his gaze falling on the empty space where the ring had been. His expression tightened. Without another word, he turned and left, his footsteps rapidly descending. "He knows," Harry breathed once they were alone. He noticed the ring was gone. Interesting. Wednesday seemed more intrigued than concerned. Snape recognized the ring's significance. Another player with incomplete information. They escaped without further incident, the chaos from the Weasley twins' diversions providing perfect cover for their retreat to the room of requirement. Inside, Wednesday immediately wrote to Grandmama through the enchanted journal, describing the ring's curses and requesting guidance for safe destruction. The response came within minutes: "Do not attempt destruction without proper containment. Ring bears resurrection stone, one of 3 deathly hallows. Dumbledore likely aware. Transport to mansion during Christmas break for proper handling." Deathly hallows? Harry frowned. "What's that?" "Legendary magical artifacts," Wednesday explained. "Created by death itself, according to children's stories. The resurrection stone supposedly recalls spirits from beyond. That explains why Dumbledore kept it," Harry realized. "After everything he's lost. Sentiment creates vulnerability." Wednesday closed the journal. "We'll destroy it properly at the mansion." December arrived with mounting tensions. Umbridge's power grew through additional educational decrees. The DA continued meeting secretly, students' skills improving markedly under Harry and Wednesday's tutelage. The Soul Sniffer revealed no additional Horcruxes within Hogwarts, confirming their count: the diary, destroyed; the book from Malfoy Manor, destroyed; the diadem, destroyed; the ring, contained; the Lestrange vault item, location confirmed but inaccessible; the unknown object at the Gaunt Shack, and the fragment in Harry's scar. "We'll target the Gaunt Shack during Christmas break," Wednesday explained during their final planning session before holidays. "After handling the ring at the mansion." Harry nodded, though anxiety gnawed at him. "That still leaves the one in me. Grandmama has developed a promising approach." Wednesday's typical detachment softened slightly. "It requires extensive preparation, but the theory is sound." "Will it kill me?" "Temporarily." She held his gaze. "Death is rarely permanent for an Addams." "I'm not an Addams." "Aren't you?" Something in her expression shifted. "The blood ritual, the training, your evolving affinity for our magic. You're more Addams than Potter these days." The observation struck Harry as simultaneously disturbing and comforting. The Addams family, for all their macabre interests, had given him something he'd never fully experienced: unconditional acceptance of his darker aspects, his anger, his desire for revenge. I suppose I am, he admitted. Good. Wednesday almost smiled. Family looks after its own. 2 days before Christmas break, disaster struck. Umbridge discovered the DA through Marietta Edgecombe's betrayal. While most students escaped, Harry was caught leaving the room of requirement. Dragged to Dumbledore's office, he found the headmaster facing Umbridge, Fudge, and 2 Aurors. The confrontation proceeded much as Harry imagined: accusations, Dumbledore claiming responsibility for Dumbledore's army, and the headmaster's dramatic escape when Fudge attempted to arrest him. What differed was the aftermath. With Dumbledore gone, Umbridge declared herself headmistress and immediately summoned Harry to her office for punishment. "You've corrupted your fellow students," she simpered, eyes glinting with malice. "Spreading lies, teaching unauthorized magic." "I taught them to defend themselves," Harry replied calmly. "Against what, Mr. Potter?" "The Ministry." Her girlish laugh didn't reach her eyes. "Perhaps a stronger lesson is required. The Cruciatus curse would loosen your tongue." Harry maintained his composure, channeling Wednesday's detachment. "You'd use an unforgivable on a student? That's Azkaban, Professor. Who would believe you?" Umbridge raised her wand. "A disturbed attention-seeker against a ministry official?" Before she could cast, the office door exploded inward with a deafening crack. Umbridge flew backward, slamming into her wall of decorative kitten plates. Wednesday stood in the doorway, wand extended, expression unchanged save for a subtle intensity in her eyes. "Harry," she said calmly, "we have a schedule to maintain." Umbridge struggled to her feet, blood trickling from her nose. "You! How dare!" Wednesday flicked her wand again. Shadows wrapped around Umbridge, lifting her from the floor and pinning her against the wall. The woman's eyes bulged with terror as the darkness constricted. "Professor Umbridge," Wednesday's voice remained conversational, "threats against family members are taken very seriously in Addams culture. Traditional response involves disembowelment." "Wednesday," Harry cautioned, "we can't kill a ministry official." "Kill? No." Something like disappointment flickered across her face. "But education remains possible." She approached Umbridge, whose struggles weakened as the shadows tightened. Leaning close, Wednesday whispered something in the woman's ear, words too quiet for Harry to catch. Whatever she said caused Umbridge to go completely rigid, her face draining of all color. When Wednesday released the shadow binding, Umbridge slumped to the floor, trembling uncontrollably. "She won't bother you again," Wednesday stated, turning toward the door. "We should hurry. The train leaves in 30 minutes. Harry glanced at Umbridge's huddled form. "What did you tell her?" "The truth." Wednesday shrugged slightly. "About what happens to those who threaten an Addams. With specific anatomical details." They left Umbridge's office, the woman still shaking on the floor behind them. "Won't this cause problems?" Harry asked as they hurried toward Gryffindor Tower. "Attacking a professor, she won't report it," Wednesday said confidently. "Fear of repercussions will exceed desire for revenge. Besides, Mother contacted certain ministry officials this morning. Umbridge's authority has been compromised." Harry didn't ask for details. Some aspects of Addams' influence worked better without explanation. Christmas at the Addams mansion felt like coming home. The family greeted Harry and Wednesday at the train station, Gomez crushing Harry in an enthusiastic hug while Morticia embraced Wednesday with elegant restraint. "The prodigal children return," Gomez declared, mustache twitching with excitement. "And bearing gifts, I see." The gifts were the contained Horcruxes, the ring and the recovered diadem, which they'd kept for further study despite its destruction. Back at the mansion, Grandmama examined their prizes with professional interest. "Excellent work," she cackled, turning the ring's container in her gnarled hands. 2 Horcruxes and a deathly hallow. Voldemort has no appreciation for what he defiles. "Can you safely destroy it?" Harry asked. "Destroy it?" Grandmama looked scandalized. We extract the soul fragment, child. The resurrection stone is too valuable to destroy. The extraction process took place that evening in Grandmama's workshop. Harry, Wednesday, and the elder Addamses gathered around a complex ritual circle inscribed on the stone floor. The contained ring sat at the center. Extraction requires a vessel, Grandmama explained, producing a crystal vial filled with swirling black liquid. We transfer Voldemort's soul fragment from the ring to this prepared solution, then neutralize it. Won't it try to possess whatever contains it? Harry asked, remembering the diary. Precisely why we use this. She indicated the black liquid. Essence of Dementor, willingly given. It will devour the soul fragment upon contact. Dementors can give essence willingly. Uncle Fester is very persuasive, Morticia explained with a slight smile. The ritual began with Grandmama chanting in a language that made Harry's ears hurt. The air thickened as the ring's container opened, revealing the Horcrux within. Dark tendrils rose from the cracked stone, writhing like living smoke. The soul attempts to flee, Wednesday narrated quietly. It senses the danger. Grandmama continued chanting, her hands weaving complex patterns. The dark essence coalesced, drawn inexorably toward the crystal vial. When it touched the black liquid, an inhuman shriek filled the workshop. The fragment thrashed wildly before being absorbed, the liquid bubbling violently then settling into stillness. For down permanently, Gomez announced cheerfully. 3 to go. The ring, now purged of Voldemort's soul, retained its power as the resurrection stone. Grandmama carefully removed the remaining curses before handing it to Harry. Traditionally, the stone passes to those who faced death, she explained. You qualify several times over. Harry accepted it hesitantly. I'm not sure I want the power to recall the dead. Wise, Morticia approved. Such power often brings more grief than comfort. The dead should rest, not linger between worlds. Unless they choose to haunt you, Fester added brightly. Great Aunt Lavinia still terrorizes the East Wing every third Tuesday. The next day, they tackled the gaunt shack Horcrux. Located near Little Hangleton, the dilapidated structure stood half-collapsed in overgrown woods, the ancestral home of Voldemort's maternal family. Salazar's descendants reduced to this, Wednesday observed as they approached. Inbreeding and magical decay. Magical barriers surrounded the property, detection wards, curses, and serpent guardians that Harry dispatched with Parseltongue. Inside, beneath rotting floorboards, they found a small golden box containing Slytherin's locket. 5 down, Harry said as Grandmama performed the extraction ritual on site. Just the vault and me. The Christmas holiday passed quickly. Harry divided his time between Horcrux research with Grandmama, combat training with Gomez, and quiet moments with Wednesday, whose company he found increasingly essential. On Christmas Eve, the family gathered in the grand living room. A massive tree dominated one corner, decorated with guillotines, nooses, and what appeared to be actual shrunken heads. Presents piled beneath it, some of them moving suspiciously. A toast, Gomez proposed, raising a glass of something smoking. To family, both blood and chosen. The Addamses cheered, including Harry in their circle without hesitation. For perhaps the first time in his life, Harry felt truly part of something, not because of his scar or his prophecy, but simply for being himself, darkness and all. Wednesday sat beside him on a love seat, closer than her usual distance. You're contemplative tonight. Just thinking about family, he admitted. I've never really had a proper Christmas before. Addams' Christmases are hardly proper by conventional standards. That's why they're perfect. Something softened in Wednesday's expression, a barely perceptible change that nonetheless transformed her face. You've adapted well to our peculiarities. Maybe I was always peculiar, just hiding it. You were, she agreed bluntly. It's why I gave you the coin that day in the park. I recognized the darkness in you, not evil, just difference. Potential. For what? For this. She gestured vaguely between them. Partnership. Understanding. Whatever comes next. It was the closest to emotional vulnerability Wednesday had ever displayed. Harry reached for her hand, half expecting rejection. Instead, her cold fingers interlaced with his. Whatever comes next, he echoed, surprised by how right it felt. The moment was interrupted by Pugsley's newest explosive creation detonating prematurely, sending tinsel and what might have been reindeer parts shooting across the room. Wednesday didn't pull away, even as chaos erupted around them. The return to Hogwarts brought immediate challenges. Umbridge, despite Wednesday's educational intervention, had consolidated power in Dumbledore's absence. The castle operated under near martial law, with the inquisitorial squad empowered to dock points and assign detentions. Strangely, Umbridge herself maintained distance from Harry and Wednesday. She blanched visibly when they entered rooms, often finding excuses to be elsewhere. Whatever Wednesday had whispered clearly left a lasting impression. "We need to accelerate our timeline," Harry told Wednesday during a private moment in the Room of Requirement. "With Dumbledore gone and the Ministry gaining control, we're running out of time." Agreed. The remaining Horcruxes, not just those. My scar. Harry touched the lightning bolt mark. Voldemort's growing stronger. I can feel him more clearly now, especially at night. Wednesday studied him. The blood protection is weakening. Grandmama said it would last a few weeks. It's been months. She's completed the extraction ritual design. Wednesday opened the enchanted journal, displaying Grandmama's detailed notes and diagrams. It requires specific timing, the dark of the moon, 3 days from now. Here at Hogwarts. Optimal location would be the Chamber of Secrets. Isolated, magically significant, and connected to both you and Voldemort through shared Parseltongue ability. Harry examined the ritual requirements. This is complex magic. Soul extraction without container destruction is unprecedented, Wednesday acknowledged. The risk is significant. Define significant. Total soul fragmentation. Permanent death. Possible dimensional rupture. She shrugged slightly. Standard Addams experimental parameters. Despite the dire possibilities, Harry found himself smiling. Let's do it. The 3 days passed in tense preparation. Harry continued leading the DA in secret, now focused on combat readiness rather than simple defense. Hermione noticed the shift in training but said nothing, her worried glances speaking volumes. On the night of the ritual, Harry made excuses to his housemates and slipped away to Myrtle's bathroom. Wednesday arrived precisely on schedule, carrying a heavy bag of supplies. Grandmama sent specialized ingredients, she explained as they descended into the chamber. And this. She removed a familiar silver dagger from her robes, the ceremonial blade from Harry's blood ritual. The connection has been strengthened, she continued, setting up an elaborate arrangement of candles, potions, and inscribed stones around the chamber's central area. Your blood, willingly given, provides the bridge for extraction. Harry watched her methodical preparation. Will I feel it? When it's removed? Yes. Wednesday paused, meeting his eyes directly. It will be excruciating. The soul fragment has been parasitically attached to your own for 15 years. Separation will feel like having part of yourself torn away. But it's not really part of me. It has influenced you nonetheless. Shaped aspects of your personality, your abilities. She resumed her work. Its removal may change you in ways we cannot predict. Harry considered this. Would losing the Horcrux mean losing Parseltongue? His connection to Voldemort? Some essential part of who he'd become? I'll still be me, he said firmly. The core of who I am isn't Voldemort's creation. True. Wednesday completed the ritual circle. You were peculiar long before the soul fragment's influence. That quality is innate. From Wednesday, this was high praise. The ritual began at midnight. Harry lay in the center of the elaborately inscribed circle, Wednesday kneeling beside him with Grandmama's instructions open before her. The process has 3 phases, she explained. First, isolation, separating the foreign soul fragment from your own. Second, extraction, drawing it physically from your scar. Third, containment and neutralization. What do I need to do? Endure. Her hand briefly touched his. And hold on to yourself. The fragment will fight to remain attached. It may offer temptations, false promises, or threats. Reject all of them. Harry took a deep breath. I'm ready. Wednesday began chanting in that strange language Grandmama had used, the words seeming to cut through reality itself. She drew the ceremonial dagger across her own palm, letting 7 drops of blood fall onto Harry's scar. Pain exploded behind Harry's eyes, white-hot and all-consuming. His back arched involuntarily as liquid fire spread from his scar throughout his body. Through the haze of agony, he heard Wednesday's voice continuing the chant, unwavering despite his distress. The pain suddenly transformed into something worse, a tearing sensation, as if something rooted deep in his mind was being forcibly extracted. Harry screamed, unable to contain it. Stop fighting, a high, cold voice whispered inside his mind. We are connected. We are one. Without me, you are nothing. Lies, Harry gasped through clenched teeth. You're not part of me. I gave you power. Parseltongue. Strength. Without me, you will be ordinary. Weak. Is that what you want? I want to be free. The tearing sensation intensified. Harry felt as though his skull was splitting open, his very essence being ripped apart. Through tear-blurred eyes, he saw Wednesday's face above him, her expression focused but with a new intensity, concern, perhaps even fear. Stay with me, Harry, she commanded, her voice penetrating the chaos in his mind. Focus on my voice. You are Harry Potter. You are an Addams by choice, a wizard by birth, and mine by right. Mine by right. The possessiveness in her voice anchored him somehow, giving him something to hold on to as the fragment tore free. With a final, agonizing wrench, something black and screaming pulled free from Harry's scar. Wednesday immediately directed it toward a prepared crystal vessel similar to the one they'd used for the ring. The soul fragment fought, writhing in the air between them, but her magic proved stronger. The fragment imprisoned, Wednesday completed the ritual with a final incantation. The crystal glowed red, then black, then clear as the soul piece dissolved within the neutralizing solution. It's done, she announced, setting down the vessel. Harry lay gasping, his entire body trembling with aftershocks. The absence felt strange, a hollow space where something dark had nested for 15 years. But with the hollowness came lightness, as if a weight he'd never fully acknowledged had been lifted. How do you feel? Wednesday asked, helping him sit up. Different, Harry managed. Empty, but clean. She examined his scar, which had stopped bleeding. The connection is severed. You're free of Voldemort's influence. Harry attempted to stand, but his legs buckled. Wednesday caught him with surprising strength. Rest, she instructed. Soul extraction requires recovery time. He leaned against her, too exhausted to maintain distance. 6 down. 1 to go. The vault can wait, she said firmly. Tonight was victory enough. As they prepared to leave the chamber, a piercing pain shot through Harry's temple, different from the extraction agony, more like an external attack. He staggered, clutching his head. What's happening? Wednesday demanded, supporting his weight. He knows, Harry gasped. Voldemort, he felt the Horcrux destruction. He's furious. And he's coming. Here. To Hogwarts. Yes. Now. Tonight. Harry forced himself upright. He knows we're hunting Horcruxes. He's coming to protect the last one and kill me before I can destroy it. Wednesday's expression hardened. Then we prepare for battle. They barely reached the entrance hall when the castle wards began to wail, an ancient alarm system activating for the first time in centuries. McGonagall appeared in her tartan dressing gown, wand drawn. Potter. Miss Addams. What's happening? Voldemort, Harry explained rapidly. He's attacking the castle. We need to evacuate the younger students. To her credit, McGonagall asked no unnecessary questions. I'll alert the staff. Potter, gather your yes, I know about it. Miss Addams, as a Slytherin prefect, evacuate your house. Many will have family among the attackers. They separated, racing to implement emergency plans. Harry activated the enchanted galleons, summoning members to the Great Hall. Wednesday presumably headed for the dungeons, though Harry suspected her evacuation methods might differ from McGonagall's intentions. Within 30 minutes, Hogwarts transformed from sleeping school to fortress under siege. Staff reinforced ancient protective enchantments while older students prepared defensive positions. Umbridge attempted to interfere, bleating about ministry authority until McGonagall stunned her and locked her in a broom closet. More practical that way, the deputy headmistress explained briskly. Harry led the assembled DA members, nearly 50 strong after months of secret recruitment, in deploying throughout the castle. Their training under Harry and Wednesday had prepared them better than anyone realized. Remember, he told them, aim to incapacitate. Stunning, binding, impediment jinxes. Use the castle's defenses, moving staircases, trick steps. Make Hogwarts fight for us. Neville stepped forward. What about you, Harry? I'm going after Voldemort. Protests erupted, but Harry raised his hand. This was always coming. The prophecy, it has to be me. Not alone, Wednesday's voice cut through the clamor as she entered the Great Hall. Never alone. She'd changed into what appeared to be battle attire, a fitted black outfit that allowed free movement, with various potions and weapons secured at her belt. The Addams family ceremonial dagger hung at her side. Slytherin secured? McGonagall asked. Those loyal to Hogwarts have joined our defense, Wednesday replied. The others are indisposed. No one asked for clarification. The castle wards shuddered as the first assault hit, powerful dark magic battering ancient protections. Through windows, they glimpsed dozens of dark-robed figures surrounding the grounds. Above them floated Dementors, their chilling presence seeping through even the strongest shields. They can't hold forever, Flitwick warned as another shockwave hit the wards. An hour at most. Then we use that hour, Harry decided. Professor McGonagall, can you contact the Order of the Phoenix? Already done, Potter. They're mobilizing, but many are scattered on missions. What about? Harry hesitated, then committed. What about the Addamses? Wednesday removed the enchanted journal from her pocket. Already called. Family is en route. Expected arrival in 20 minutes. The news sent a murmur through the assembled defenders. Most had heard rumors about Wednesday's family, each story more outlandish than the last. Are they really? Ron began. Yes, Harry and Wednesday answered simultaneously. Preparations continued at frantic pace. Seventh years transfigured statues into battle-ready guardians. Professors layered protective enchantments over vulnerable entrances. The hospital wing expanded to accommodate expected casualties. At the 40-minute mark, the wards faltered. Gaps appeared in the magical protection, immediately exploited by Death Eaters attempting to breach the grounds. First wave incoming, McGonagall announced grimly. Before the defenders could move, a chilling howl split the night, an inhuman sound that raised goosebumps even inside the castle. It was followed by screams from the attacking forces. The family has arrived, Wednesday noted with satisfaction. Through the windows, Harry glimpsed chaos erupting among the Death Eater ranks. Shadowy figures moved with impossible speed, leaving crumpled forms in their wake. What appeared to be animated sentient vines erupted from the ground, entangling dark wizards. And striding through the center of the battlefield came the core Addams family, Gomez and Morticia in the lead, followed by Grandmama, Fester, Pugsley, and Lurch. Magnificent, McGonagall whispered, watching Morticia disable 3 Death Eaters with a single elegant gesture. Harry turned to Wednesday. Time for us to move. She nodded, understanding his intent. The final confrontation. They slipped away from the main defense, making their way toward the entrance courtyard where Voldemort would inevitably appear. Behind them, battle erupted as Death Eaters breached the castle, meeting prepared resistance from DA members and staff. Outside, the Addamses carved a path through enemy forces with terrifying efficiency. Gomez dueled 5 Death Eaters simultaneously, his wandwork a blur of lethal precision. Morticia glided between opponents, her touch alone causing them to collapse in paralyzing agony. Grandmama's potions transformed attackers into various unpleasant forms, while Fester absorbed Dementor attacks and redirected their energy back at Death Eaters. Your family is impressive, Harry admitted as they watched from a concealed position. We take pride in our work, Wednesday replied. Especially the family business. Which is? Death, naturally. The hint of a smile touched her lips. But only for deserving recipients. The battlefield suddenly stilled as a new presence arrived, tall, skeletal, with gleaming red eyes and skin like bleached bone. Voldemort surveyed the chaos, his serpentine face twisting with rage at the sight of his forces in disarray. Potter, he hissed, voice amplified to echo across the grounds. Face me. Or watch as I destroy everything you love. Harry stepped forward, but Wednesday caught his arm. Strategy, she reminded him. Not sacrifice. I have to face him. Yes. But on our terms. She removed a vial from her belt. Drink this first. Harry eyed the swirling silver liquid. What is it? Protection. Grandmama's creation. It won't make you invulnerable, but it will bend probability in your favor. Harry drank without further question. The potion tasted of moonlight and shadows, spreading an odd sensation of disconnection through his limbs, as if he existed slightly out of phase with reality. Now we approach, Wednesday instructed. Together. They emerged from concealment, walking side by side toward the center of the courtyard where Voldemort waited. The Dark Lord's crimson eyes widened fractionally at the sight of Wednesday. You bring a child to die with you, Potter, he mocked. How considerate. I bring an Addams, Harry corrected, feeling surprisingly calm. You might want to reconsider your position while you still can. Voldemort's lipless mouth curved into a smile. The Addams family. Yes, I've been acquainted with their interference. Impressive, but ultimately irrelevant. He gestured toward the battle, where despite the Addams' efforts, Death Eaters continued pressing forward through sheer numbers. Fenrir Greyback and his werewolves had joined the assault, their savagery testing even Lurch's immense strength. Your allies fight well, Voldemort acknowledged. But they cannot save you from prophecy, Harry Potter. Neither can live while the other survives. About that, Harry said conversationally. We've made some adjustments to the arrangement. Voldemort's eyes narrowed. What do you mean? 6 destroyed, Wednesday stated flatly. 1 remains. The Dark Lord's composure cracked. Rage and fear flashed across his serpentine features as understanding dawned. Impossible, he hissed. You couldn't have found, you couldn't know, diary. Ring. Locket. Cup. Diadem. Me. Harry ticked them off on his fingers. Only Nagini remains. Where is she, Tom? Voldemort's fury exploded in a wave of raw magic that would have flattened ordinary opponents. Harry felt it wash around him, deflected by Grandmama's potion. Wednesday hadn't moved, her own protective magic absorbing the assault. "You dare," Voldemort whispered, true fear entering his voice for the first time. "You dare tamper with powers beyond your understanding." "Actually," Wednesday countered, "we understand them quite well. Soul magic is an Addams specialty. Your approach was rudimentary at best." The insult struck deeper than any spell. Voldemort's carefully constructed persona, the all-powerful Dark Lord, cracked further, revealing the insecure, rage-filled Tom Riddle beneath. "Avada Kedavra," he screamed, the killing curse erupting from his wand. Harry and Wednesday separated, dodging in opposite directions. The deadly green light struck the ground between them, scorching stone. The duel began in earnest, Voldemort against Harry and Wednesday, his experience and raw power against their unconventional training and coordinated tactics. Harry employed everything the Addamses had taught him, wandless shields, elemental manipulation, and combat transfiguration. Wednesday's approach proved even more disorienting to Voldemort, her shadow magic and blood-enhanced spells operating outside traditional wizarding parameters. Around them, the battle for Hogwarts raged. The Addams family had linked with Order members who'd finally arrived, pushing Death Eaters back from the castle proper. Within the walls, the DA held defensive positions, Neville and Luna leading different squads with unexpected competence. Voldemort, recognizing his force's failure, fought with increasing desperation. His magic grew wilder, deadlier, sacrificing precision for destructive power. "Enough games," he snarled after Harry deflected another killing curse. "Nagini. To me." The massive serpent slithered from the shadows, her presence confirming Harry's suspicion. The final Horcrux had been with Voldemort all along, protected by his personal oversight. Wednesday immediately shifted focus to the snake, leaving Harry to engage Voldemort directly. "It's just us now, Tom," Harry called, circling warily. "No Horcruxes, no backup plan. Just you and me, as the prophecy intended. You think destroying my anchors makes us equals?" Voldemort laughed coldly. "I mastered death decades before your birth." "Mastered?" Harry shook his head. "You ran from it. The Addamses taught me what you never understood, death isn't the enemy." He attacked with renewed purpose, driving Voldemort back with combinations that blended conventional spells with Addams' techniques. The Dark Lord defended skillfully but with growing uncertainty, unfamiliar with Harry's hybrid approach. Meanwhile, Wednesday engaged Nagini in a deadly dance. The serpent's magically enhanced hide repelled standard spells, but Wednesday wasn't using standard magic. Shadows coalesced around her hands, forming whip-like extensions that sliced through the air with lethal precision. Nagini struck repeatedly, supernaturally fast, but Wednesday moved with equal speed, the result of months' training with Gomez. When the snake lunged again, Wednesday sidestepped and deployed her final weapon, the ceremonial silver dagger, now glowing with runes activated by her blood. The blade pierced Nagini's skull, driving through the protective enchantments with unstoppable force. The snake convulsed violently, black ichor spraying from the wound as the final Horcrux died screaming. Voldemort's howl of rage and pain echoed across the battlefield as his last anchor to immortality dissolved. The momentary distraction gave Harry the opening he needed. "Expelliarmus," he shouted, channeling every ounce of will into the disarming charm. Simultaneously, Voldemort reflexively cast Avada Kedavra. The spells collided mid-air, but unlike in the graveyard, no priori incantatum occurred. Instead, Harry's disarming charm sliced through Voldemort's killing curse, striking the Dark Lord's wand hand with devastating force. The Elder Wand, which Harry now recognized from Grandmama's descriptions of the Deathly Hallows, flew from Voldemort's grasp in a perfect arc, landing in Harry's outstretched hand. Wandless and Horcrux-less, Voldemort stood momentarily frozen in disbelief. "Impossible," he whispered. "No," Harry corrected, advancing with both wands aimed at the Dark Lord's heart. "Inevitable." Wednesday appeared at Harry's side, the bloodied ritual dagger still in hand. shall I finish him? No, Harry decided. He's mine. Voldemort, desperate now, attempted wandless magic, impressive given his weakened state, but ineffective against Harry's dual wand shield. You cannot kill me, Potter, he hissed. The prophecy is fulfilled, Harry interrupted. Neither can live while the other survives. But you're not surviving anymore, Tom. You're just lingering. With precise wandwork combining Elder Wand and Phoenix Feather, Harry cast not a killing curse but something more fundamental, a severing charm aimed not at Voldemort's body but at the damaged soul within. The spell struck true, enhanced by the Elder Wand's power and Harry's intimate understanding of soul magic courtesy of the Addamses. Voldemort's physical form remained intact, but something essential disconnected within, the fractured, mangled soul finally releasing its tenuous hold on the material world. Tom Riddle fell backward, eyes wide with shock rather than pain. His body hit the ground with surprising ordinariness, just a man, in the end, despite his desperate attempts to be something more. Silence fell across the battlefield as combatants from both sides witnessed Voldemort's fall. Death Eaters began disapparating in panic, while others surrendered, throwing down wands as Addamses or Order members cornered them. Wednesday stood beside Harry, observing Voldemort's corpse with clinical detachment. Anticlimactic. Harry laughed despite himself. Only you would find defeating the darkest wizard in a century anticlimactic. Grandmama will be disappointed she missed the soul severing. Wednesday prodded Voldemort's body with her foot. She wanted to study the technique. The courtyard filled with defenders rushing to secure prisoners and treat wounded. Gomez and Morticia approached, impeccably dressed despite having just fought dozens of dark wizards. Harry, my boy. Gomez clapped him on the shoulder. Magnificent finale. Clean soul severance is an art form. The family will be so proud, Morticia added, embracing Wednesday with elegant restraint. Your first major battle, and already helping vanquish a Dark Lord. You're developing faster than I did at your age. The surreality of the moment struck Harry, standing over Voldemort's corpse while the Addamses discussed the event like a particularly successful school project. Ron and Hermione pushed through the crowd, both disheveled but intact. They stopped short at the sight of Voldemort's body. You did it, Hermione whispered. You actually did it. We did it, Harry corrected, gesturing to Wednesday and the Addamses. I couldn't have done it alone. Ron stared at the assembled Addams family with newfound respect. Bloody hell. The rumors didn't do them justice. More Order members arrived, including Remus Lupin and a contingent of Aurors led by Kingsley Shacklebolt. Their expressions mirrored Ron's as they witnessed the Addamses casually discussing battle techniques over fallen enemies. Harry, Lupin approached cautiously, is he really? Gone, Harry confirmed. Completely this time. Kingsley examined Voldemort's body, his deep voice solemn. The Ministry will want explanations. They'll get the truth, Harry decided. About everything, the Horcruxes, the prophecy, their year of denial. That will cause considerable political upheaval. Good. Harry's tone brooked no argument. It's overdue. As dawn broke over Hogwarts, illuminating the battlefield, Harry realized a chapter of his life had definitively closed. Voldemort was gone. The prophecy fulfilled. For the first time, his future stretched before him unmarked by predetermined fate. Wednesday appeared at his side, her presence somehow both comfort and challenge. What happens now? She asked, her typical detachment softened by genuine curiosity. Harry considered the question. I finish school. Take my OWLs. Figure out what I want rather than what's expected. And after? He looked at her directly, seeing beyond the emotionless facade to the brilliant, fiercely loyal person beneath. I was thinking, he said carefully, that I might split my time. Wizarding Britain still needs rebuilding, but, the mansion feels like home too. Something rare and precious flickered across Wednesday's face, a genuine smile, small but unmistakable. Family dinner is on Thursdays, she said. Attendance is mandatory. Grandmama gets upset when people miss her cooking. Wouldn't dream of disappointing her. McGonagall approached, looking exhausted but determined. Potter, Miss Addams. The ministry representatives are requesting statements, and the press has somehow gotten past the wards. Harry groaned. Can't it wait? I'll handle it, Gomez volunteered cheerfully. I have extensive experience with hostile journalists. Did I ever tell you about the time I was misquoted in the Transylvanian Times? Ended in 3 duels and a rather spirited guillotine demonstration. As Gomez strode off, already gesticulating dramatically to Kingsley's visible concern, Morticia turned to Harry and Wednesday. You both should rest, she advised. Soul magic and battle fatigue are a dangerous combination. We've prepared rooms at Grimmauld Place, Sirius insisted. Sirius is here. Harry looked around eagerly. Overseeing prisoner transport with Fester, Morticia explained. Your godfather has quite the creative approach to restraint charms. Fester was most impressed. The next few hours passed in a blur of statements, medical checks, and reunions. Harry found himself constantly surrounded, by friends checking his well-being, by officials seeking information, by reporters desperate for quotes. Through it all, the Addams family maintained their protective presence, deflecting intrusive questions and creating space for Harry to breathe when overwhelmed. They operated with quiet efficiency, their macabre reputation actually proving useful in keeping overeager ministry officials at bay. By afternoon, Harry, Wednesday, and the core Addams family had relocated to Grimmauld Place, which had been surprisingly transformed during Harry's absence. The formerly gloomy mansion now sported distinctly Addams touches, Gothic furnishings, strange artifacts, and peculiar lighting that somehow made the space feel more welcoming rather than less. Cousin Sirius invited us to redecorate, Grandmama explained, noting Harry's surprise. Said the place needed livening up. We took certain creative liberties. Sirius himself seemed rejuvenated by the Addams influence, his haunted expression replaced by mischievous energy that reminded Harry of photographs from his parents' time. The Addamses understand living with darkness better than anyone, Sirius told Harry privately. They don't try to eradicate it, they channel it, use it, even celebrate it. After Azkaban, that approach makes more sense to me than Dumbledore's light versus dark absolutism. That evening, gathered around a dining table for what Gomez called a modest victory feast, involving 7 courses and numerous dishes Harry couldn't identify, Harry experienced a profound sense of completion. His makeshift family had expanded in ways he'd never anticipated, Sirius and Remus alongside the Addamses, with Ron, Hermione, and other DA members dropping by to join the celebration. Wednesday sat beside him, her usual stoicism softened by the day's events. Beneath the table, her hand occasionally brushed his, brief moments of contact that spoke volumes from someone so physically reserved. We should discuss your future training, she said during a lull in conversation. Your soul magic shows promise, but your necromancy theory needs considerable development. Necromancy? Hermione choked on her drink. Harry, you're not seriously considering theoretical applications only, Wednesday clarified, though her expression suggested practical applications remained possible. Understanding death magic doesn't require raising the dead. Usually. Hermione looked scandalized. Exceptions can be academically valuable, Wednesday maintained. Properly documented, of course. Sirius barked with laughter. Reminds me of when your father explored necromancy, Harry. James was rubbish at it, raised Mrs. Norris instead of the test mouse. Filch never forgave him. Conversations flowed around Harry, Gomez discussing dueling techniques with Remus, Morticia and Molly Weasley finding surprising common ground regarding garden pest management, though their definitions of pests differed significantly, Pugsley demonstrating explosive compounds to enthralled Weasley twins. Amid the joyful chaos, Harry felt Wednesday studying him. Second thoughts, she asked quietly. About what? This. She gestured vaguely to the assembled group. Us. The Addams' approach to life and magic. Harry considered the question seriously. The Addams family operated outside conventional morality, embraced darkness that others feared, and practiced magic many would consider forbidden. Yet they'd shown him more honesty, acceptance, and genuine care than most of the wizarding world. No second thoughts, he decided. Just, adjusting to possibilities I never imagined. Such as a future where I'm defined by choices, not prophecies. Where magic isn't limited to ministry-approved spells. He met her gaze directly. Where someone understands the darkness in me without wanting to fix or change it. Wednesday's expression remained neutral, but something softened in her eyes. The darkness was always your strength. Others just lacked the vision to see it. You saw it. Even when we were children. I recognized a kindred spirit. The admission seemed to surprise even her. Rare in my experience. Harry impulsively reached for her hand, this time holding it properly rather than allowing brief contact. Thank you. For the coin. For everything after. Wednesday didn't pull away. Instead, her cold fingers interlaced with his, the gesture somehow more intimate than words. Family looks after its own, she said simply. As celebrations continued around them, Harry realized the truth of those words. He had found his place, not among those who valued him for his fame or prophecy, but with people who appreciated his complexity, darkness included. The road ahead remained challenging. The wizarding world needed rebuilding. Remaining Death Eaters required capturing. His education, conventional and Addams style, awaited completion. But for the first time, Harry faced these challenges with complete support, Hogwarts friends who had proven their loyalty, godfather and mentor figures who provided guidance, and the Addams family who had shown him that darkness, properly embraced, could be a source of strength rather than shame. Wednesday's hand remained in his, cool but steadfast. Whatever came next, they would face it together, the boy who lived and the Addams girl who had seen his potential when everyone else saw only a prophecy. It wasn't a conventional happy ending. The Addamses would never approve of anything so ordinary. It was something better, a beginning, with all the delightfully macabre possibilities that entailed. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video.